Oh, no.
We're checking on no, they don't work now. They won't can't turn you off. As much as me.
Good morning.
Thank you all for waiting for us. I'll call this open session portion of our meeting to order. Will you, we are going to ask Lucas to step inside for us, please. Lucas Rainey is going to lead us in the pledge this morning.
Please stand. Put your right hand over your heart. Ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Lucas. Would you please call the roll?
Ms. Sarmiento. Here. Ms. Avalos. Here. Ms. Bethencourt Castañeda.
Present.
Ms. Lizárraga.
Here.
Ms. Gates. Here.
So I'll do my best with this part, okay? Before we get into the body of tonight's meeting, I want to take a moment to acknowledge that we've had a really rough last 2 weeks here in National City. About a week and a half ago, 2 of our fathers were killed in a car accident on D Avenue, Robert Casillas and Victor Arellano Bacayo. And their kids are ours and their families are ours. And that loss is ours. And then this past weekend, we got news on Saturday morning that Mary Stewart, who is one of our very precious teachers at Olivewood, was also in an accident that involved a car and hit her and killed her. And so we're hurting in our community. There's a lot of other stuff that goes on, we know that. But I'm asking if you would join us in a moment of silence for these 3 individuals and their families as they are figuring out how to start walking these next days without them. Thank you very much. As we continue with our meeting, one of the things that was quickly brought up and decided was that in honor of our teacher, Mary Stewart, this year's National School District 5K, which from what I understand, she was a walker. She was very committed to the support of this 5K event, that this year's 5K will be in honor of her. That is coming soon, and we will get more information to you about that as it gets closer. I told my kids, my students, about this. South County also lost a young 16-year-old boy last week, and Mar Vista High School student who was hit and killed as he was driving home from work late at night. And so I reminded my students, who are only 8th graders, I reminded them, cars are fun, cars are cool, and cars are deadly, and we need to take as much care as we can. So as far as our community is concerned, let's be careful for each other. Okay? Thank you. All right, tonight, in closed session, the board voted unanimously to appoint Courtney Lynn Quinn as principal for Harbison's school. She has expertise in developing high-quality learning experiences for English learners, MTSS, and trauma-informed care. Courtney is coming to National as an assistant principal from the Sweetwater Union High School District. She has been a teacher, a district resource teacher, and currently serves as an assistant principal for Launch Academy. Please join us in congratulating and welcoming Courtney.
Thank you so much for that wonderful greeting, and my dearest sympathies to your district and ours as well for the losses that we have had lost in the past few weeks. So our hearts go out to the National School District as well. Good evening. Thank you to the National School Board, the Executive Cabinet, and members of the Ira Harbison community. It is my humble honor to be selected as principal of Ira Harbison School, a school that my mother-in-law actually attended from kindergarten all the way to 6th grade. I cannot wait to learn from the staff, from the students, from the teachers, from the families, and from the community. I am thrilled and humbled by this honor and this privilege and your trust in me. I am so excited to be a part of the National School District and this wonderful community of National City. Thank you again from the bottom of my heart. I really look forward to working with all of you and immersing myself in the National City community. Thank you.
All right, we'll continue with our agenda for the night. Welcome. Agenda item 5A, we have a presentation by the Superintendent Roundtable. Dr. Brady?
Yes, well, Governing Board, this is a group that needs no introduction. If the members from the Superintendent Student Roundtable would please head on over to the podium. We have another very full update of what the students have been up to, working diligently to spread news around the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. And so I will turn it over to them so that they can share with you what they have been up to.
Good evening, President Gates, trustees, and executive cabinet. I am Ivana Velasquez, and I represent Central School on the Superintendent Student Roundtable. My colleagues and I are honored to be here tonight to share a brief update of the important work we have been doing here tonight. The important work that we are doing as ambassadors for our principals and trusted advisors of Dr. Brady. During our last update, we shared our experience at attending the Global Education Forum at USD. As a follow-up, we had an opportunity to create postcard promoting our work on the SDGs. Ms. Boutel Maxon, a former teacher at Kimball School, is part of the Global Fellowship Project at USD and came to our meeting to help us draft our messages. She even brought stamps and address labels so that we can send our messages straight to the United Nations.
Hi, I am Emilia Cortez, and I represent Olivewood School. We also had time to meet with our SDSU mentors to map out our Earth Hop songs. We studied templates of songs and learned how to create songs with both instruments and with ordinary objects. We'll be recording our songs on our next meeting with Miss Johnson and Miss Benitez will also be traveling to Puerto Rico to mentor our sister school colleagues so that our final songs represent a true collaboration with two groups. Our Earth Hop exhibit showcase will be held at SDSU on Friday, May 17, 2024, from 6 to 7:30 p.m. We hope you will all be able to join us.
Good evening. I am Apple Hedonis, and I am from Las Palmas School. As you know, global goal number 3 is good health and well-being, And this year, in partnership with the San Diego Port and the City of National City, our district will be hosting the second annual 5K Fun Run or Walk. It will be hosted at Pepper Park on Saturday, April 27, 2024, starting at 8 a.m. To help promote the fun run, Mr. Glenn and Ms. Gill asked us to film a promotional video. Let's watch.
Hello there, National School District families. Get ready for a super fun adventure at the National School District 5K Fun Run.
This event is happening at Pepper Park on April 27th from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. Bring your whole family and join in the excitement.
Mark your calendars and make sure to check with your school for all the registration details. Early birds get the worm, or in this case, a free t-shirt. Early registration starts April 12th, so don't miss out on snagging yours while supplies last.
Let's lace up our sneakers, make some memories, and have a blast together. Promotional flyers will be sent to our school messenger and will be available at your school.
See you there!
National School District will also be hosting a resource and health fair at the park. Student Roundtable will host a station for sidewalk CPR for anyone who wants to learn or just practice that morning. We hope that you will consider stopping by if you get the chance.
Hello board, my name is Jacob Gaius. I'm from El Tejon School. At our last meeting last week, we learned about an important issue in our community. This affecting SDG 6, clean water and sanitation. Right here in our community. Ms. Doyle, a former teacher in Sweetwater and a local board member in South Bay, talk to you and this issue at a recent board meeting and met with Dr. Brady to explain the issue. We worked with Dr. Brady to customize the proclamation on your agenda tonight. We will be staying at the board meeting tonight and plan to speak again for this item. We hope the board will vote unanimously to and adopt this resolution.
Hello trustees, I'm Kylie Romero and I represent Olivewood School. Earth Day is April 22nd, 2024. Last year, the Superintendent Student Roundtable hosted an event at National City Chamber of Commerce to advocate for local businesses to focus on the SDGs. This year, we have decided to take our advocacy on the road and walk to prominent national city departments, including the firehouse, library, to police departments, and City Hall. Our goal is to raise city officials' awareness of the SDGs and how National City can pledge to work on the global goals alongside National School District. Please let Dr. Brady know if you would like to join us, and she will provide you with more details. So that is what Roundtable has been up to. Here is a summary of the various events we shared in our update if you want to take a picture. Of course, you can always reach out to Dr. Brady as well for more information. Does the board have any questions for us?
I have a question. In hearing about the sidewalk CPR that's going to be offered, will the residents be able to get a certificate along with that training?
No, they won't.
But it's good information to have, right, in case of an emergency?
Yeah.
I have a question. I'm wondering what other community or elected officials are elected on this, are engaged on this fight for this crisis that we have in our beaches, specifically on the coastline. Because we are close to the border and this is a binational issue. What is your thoughts about that? What do you think? Who is the one to talk to, or who more inviting to this?
Dr. Brady?
As a colleague to the roundtable, I'd be happy to mention, as the students mentioned, Jacob told you, Ms. Doyle did come and make an appointment to meet with me, and we discussed the proclamation, and she let us know that all of the mayors in the region have actually signed off on proclamations, on advocacy letters, really trying to promote more help and support for our region. Several, with Ms. Doyle's support, she's gone to several of the local boards here for school districts. They have signed on, and we understand several city councils in the region. President Gates and our delegate, Trustee Betancourt Castañeda, also attended an advocacy trip last week to Washington, D.C. We were able to meet directly with our Congressman Juan Vargas, and he told us he will be traveling to Mexico specifically to be working on this very issue. So this is something that's very important to our region. We look forward to seeing this later on the agenda and hearing more from our students in advocating for this.
I was going to that place. They need to listen to you guys. That's what my goal is. That's what my purpose of the question is. If we can think of what your goals are for this project, it would be nice to them to listen to you. So I will follow your guidance.
Do you mind if I get bossy for a second? Everyone in the room who has one of these and has your calendar, I think they're expecting us to show up. So if you want to add some of those dates into your calendar, feel free. We'll leave it up for a minute. How's that? Right?
Yeah.
Okay. Or you can do that and take a picture and then you can have it later. Any other questions from the board?
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Mrs. Sarmiento, Trustee Sarmiento. We were enjoying your presentation so much. You need to come back up. We need to actually thank you properly.
If the roundtable could go back to the podium, please. Thank you.
While that is happening, I just want to say congratulations on your presentations and thank you for your time for being here and your time dedicated to Roundtable. So thank you and Dr. Brady for your leadership.
Thank you. So Roundtable participants, looks like we got some cool stuff for you. Apple Girones, did I say that right? No? How do you pronounce that? Thank you. How about Ivana Velasquez? Did that right? Ooh. Emilia Cortez? Thanks for coming tonight. Jacob Reyes? Ooh. Kylie Romero. That's Thank you.
Parents, don't be shy, come forward, take pictures.
This is the leaders of the now, not the future, the now. So take a lot of pictures from us.
Okay, thank you, everybody, and I'll
Great
remind
job.
All right, item 5B, we have a presentation by John Otis School students, and Principal Vine will be leading us for that.
All right. Good evening, President Gates, board members, Dr. Brady, and Executive Cabinet. My name is Brian Vine. I am the principal of John Otis. I have some students here that are part of our mariachi program. I have Kayla Salgado Calderon, Rocio Velasquez, Bella Ramirez, and Lucas Rainey. And they're just going to kind of show you some of the cool things that happens with mariachi. And then we might have a little short playing time afterwards, which is why those chairs are there, because we're supports. So I wanted to do something to see if this works.
This is our John Otis Proud Mariachi program linked to global goal number 4, quality education. Children from 3rd to 6th grade first learn how to read music using the recorder and my first music book, which is specially designed to give a solid foundation to the rest of the program. Then each child chooses a mariachi instrument, which can be guitar, vihuela, guitarrón, trumpet, violin, or voice. The John Otis Mariachi program has been part of the National School District for over 20 years, and it was probably the first elementary mariachi in the United States. Some of our former students are professional mariachis and have performed with famous mariachis like Mariachi Vargas, Sol de Mexico, and others.
Yes.
Mariachi music is more than just a genre of music. It is a vibrant expression of Mexican culture that has captivated audiences worldwide. Rooted in the rich heritage of Mexico, mariachi music embodies the spirit, history, and emotions of the Mexican people. Mariachi music holds a special place in Mexican culture, serving as a source of national pride and identity. It is often performed during festival celebrations, religious ceremonies, and important milestones such as weddings and quinceañeras.
Parents and grandparents impact their knowledge of mariachi songs, implements, and traditions to younger family members, making sure that the legacy of mariachi lives on. Whether teaching a child to strum a guitar, sing a traditional ballad, these family interactions serve as a path for cultural connections.
Sí, señor.
Traditional mariachi bands typically include a combination of instruments such as a vihuela, high-pitched 5-string guitar, guitarrón, a large acoustic bell guitar, trumpets, violins, and sometimes a harp. Each instrument adds its unique flavor to the ensemble, creating a symphony of sound that is both lively and soul-stirring.
It's very fast rate. I'm trying to slow her down. I've been even practicing too.
Engagement with mariachi music has been linked to improve academic performance across various subjects. Learning to play a musical instrument requires discipline,
and attention to detail skills that can transfer to academics. Studies have shown that students involved in music academics often demonstrate improved academic, improved memory, and better problem-solving skills, leading to overall success, academic success.
Okay, so just keep in mind that this is their first year and they're still learning, but okay.
Yes, they are.
Watch out.
My name is Rocio and I'm learning by the park. And my name is Kayla and I'm receiving
Mary had a little lamb.
What a performance, isn't it? I am so proud to have these children follow in our heritage, is playing the mariachi music. And that really makes me so happy that they're going to learn to play all this nice Mexican music that he had, on the side here. I do the song. I don't know how to sing, but I knew the song. And we're so proud of you for being here and playing for your audience here. Is this your first audience? Wow, let's give a big hand of applause. We don't want you to come back, right? For your next one? Okay, so I'm going to give you a certificate on behalf of our superintendent and board here to Kayla Salgado. And I can have you stand over here. Rocío Velázquez. Bella Ramírez. And last but not least, Lucas Reina. Any parents?
Come
Any
on.
parents?
Bravo, bravo students.
Teachers? Any teachers? Thank you so much.
Principal, wait, do we want our principal and our mariachi director? Any teachers, anybody else? And for our students, the book that is in your hand, one of the authors is a student who grew up in National City and went to Lincoln Acres. Matt de la Peña.
I'd just like to add one thing. Two of my daughters, they started in the band program in the National School District. They sounded just like that, just as good as they do tonight. And they grew up, they went on to junior high, high school, and ended up playing in San Diego State's marching band. So you guys have a future ahead of you. Keep practicing.
So much braver than I was at that age, I'll tell you. Ms. Quinn, I'd like you to notice that item 17 on every job description is anything else we ask you to do. Did Mr. Vine not make an excellent music stand tonight? Right? Very nicely done. Okay. Item 5C, to recognize Norma Hernandez as a National School District Strive Volunteer. Principal Vine, from John Otis, please.
Thank you again. I have the honor of recognizing John Otis's amazing volunteer, Norma Hernandez. Norma Hernandez has been a part of our John Otis community for 7 years now. She has 4 wonderful children, and 2 of them attended John Otis, one starting in 3rd grade, who is now in high school. I think he's here too, right? Yep. And the youngest is in 2nd grade. Norma is currently a devoted PTA member and is also our PTA treasurer. When I use the word devoted, the word describes Norma perfectly. Norma is on our campus every single day, in the morning dropping off her son, James, during the day working on PTA events, and after school or before recruiting members. Recruiting members, promoting events, or just building relationships with our families. Whenever I see her, she's the first one to give me a big hug. The hug started because when I first met her, she would only speak Spanish to me. And when she saw my confused face, she would quickly give me a hug and then laugh. She loves our students, she loves our teachers, and she loves our families. She works day and night on fundraisers, festivals, PTA meetings, recruiting, and just making sure our kiddos get the best out of their education. Norma, thank you so much for everything you do at John Otis, and congratulations for being our district volunteer. Come on up here, Norma.
nervous. My name is Norma. My husband is right here. My 3 of my sons is right here. And thank you, Mr. Ryan, for all this. Thank you. And I'm happy to be a PTA member. This is my first year. Sorry, but my English is not perfect, but I try. This is my first year PTA, and I like it because I know more people for help my sons, and the school. And I do everything for the kids, for the PTA, try to recruit more people. And I want to do my best next year, maybe, I don't know, if we're going to be PTA. And thank you so much, everybody, for being here. Support the families, the kids, and all of you, the board, thank you so much. Thank you.
On behalf of the board, I'm very honored to give you a certificate on our name. So that way in counted hours, I don't know what time you sleep, but you have to take care of yourself. And I'm involved myself too. And I know it takes courage and eagerness to give more and beyond your capacity. So thank you so much. I appreciate you. And this is a blessing. Thank you. And I know Spanish is difficult too, and it's not perfect.
And I just have to take care of me. So.
Bring your family up here. Bring your family.
Felicidades.
Big boys. She's a lucky girl, isn't he?
Thank you.
Item 5D is to recognize Blanca Carson as the National School District Employee of the Month for April 2024. And presenting this will be Jeanette Colado Taco, our MTSS coordinator.
Good evening, Board President Gates, governing board members, Dr. Brady, Executive Cabinet. My name is Jeanette Colada-Tacto, and I am the MTSS coordinator for both Lincoln Acres and Ira Harbison School. And I want to congratulate Ms. Courtney Quinn for being our new principal, and we're going to work closely together. And you have amazing staff, so welcome. Unfortunately, Dr. Barragan wasn't able to make it tonight, but he wanted to make sure that I shared that how relentless Blanca is about ensuring that students are present at school every single day. She also makes sure that students have access to what they need for school, such as school uniforms and school supplies. And Blanca's cheerleader spirit brings joy and warmth to the office. I got to tell you a story that Sunday at Ira Harbison Monday and Tuesdays, and one day I walked in from visiting the lunch cafeteria, and I heard 7, 7, 7. I said, what's 7? 7 absent today. Only 7 absent today. So Blanca is really, really passionate about making sure kids are there every single day and on time. And she's always celebrating the kids and always often making phone calls and checking on the parents and the kids. You know, is everything okay? Is there anything that we need? You know, just finding out what the reason is behind the absence. And I got to also share that teachers are competitive at Ira Harbison. So she decorated a door that, you know, from our, the mail room to exit to the school. She decorated a door, so there's a competition, a friendly competition between teachers, right, Ms. Blanca? And what is it for? For every week?
Every day.
Every day, not weekly, not monthly, but daily. And one thing about Ms. Blanca too, is that she does things for the kids. And she always brags about, this is what I got, Ms. Tackle, this is what I got. So she got bracelets for the kids as a little goodies. And you're gonna pass it out to the executive cabinet. Yeah, I brought it for you. That's why I asked you for them. So she's gonna give each one of you a brag tag and a bracelet, okay? And this is what she do. You talk to them like your kids. Thank you for being here tonight.
Thank you for being here today.
Yeah. I really miss you when you don't go to school. And she has a bell?
Yeah. You're not here today.
Thank you for being here. Oh my God, Blanca. And Miss Blanca, there's stars there too that we can pass later on. And she does that every single day, ladies and gentlemen. So it's really inspiring and it really helps the kids feel good. And then there's dog tags too. Not the dog tag. On the bottom. On the bottom. But yeah, it's really great having someone. The minute you walk in the office, that's who you see. And you also see Miss Beto too, a beautiful face. But you know what? It really speaks volume about the kind of person she is, the kind of human being she is, and how wonderful she is. She is all about making a difference in the lives of our children, the staff. Any guests or parents who walk in the office. So Ms. Blanca Carson, I know I put you to work, I'm sorry. A big congratulations to you for being the National School District Employee of the Month. And we thank you for all your work and passion. You are so deserving of this recognition. Thank you so much. And it's been.
Thank you very much. I'm not very good at public speaking, but I believe that every student that comes and walks through that door has gone through something emotionally, physically, spiritually, and it is our job to really touch the bottom under that child because you don't know what he's been through or she the moment they walk through the door. That's why I'm always cheerful because I believe that transmits to the student.
Yes.
And I'm happy that they're here every day.
Thank you.
Well, I wanted to make sure I was here to present this to Blanca. I, as a parent of Olivewood, she was at Olivewood for my entire parent career, not as a child, because I always was at Olivewood, but you weren't there yet. But I wanted to thank you for all of your dedication to the National School District. As she described about being a cheerleader, she genuinely was. And the competition was also at Olivewood. And we continued that at home. So having that perfect attendance, I have trophies all over my house because that is what we carried at our house, is to have that perfect attendance. We really push our kids to have that goal at the end of the year because attendance, being your butt in the seat was very important because you miss a day, you miss out. And she really, really pushed to have that education instilled in everybody. And it's very important. But she did it with a smile. She did it she was very passionate about it. And it was great. It was just always so pleasant. Why are you late every day? Come on. But it was very nice, you know? Right? She was always so pleasant about it. So I thank you for everything that you do for every child that walks and crosses your path. And so with that, I would like to present to you the certificate on behalf of the entire governing board. It's a small token of what enormous amount that you make, the effect you make on this entire district. And I know you're at Iowa Harvesting, but it's the entire district that you affect. So thank you. And this is for all those notes that you should not be writing, but you do. So here. But we get too often. But thank you so much for everything.
Oh, you're so welcome. I wanted to add that it's a team effort. Our teachers at our Harbison also work very hard to keep up with me and me keep up with them.
Okay. He has to keep up with you.
Thank you to my husband when I have to call him and tell him you have to feed the dog. I have to stay here. in the back.
Family and our new principal come in. You call Brooke.
Yes.
I'll let you guys first on this one.
Do you want me to like pull the flowers or something?
And after this, if any of the Irish family want to come up and join, I see you, we see you. Come on up.
Come on, Ira.
Don't be tardy. Closer, okay.
I'm sorry.
I don't know where to put your hands.
Thank
Before we move to the next item, trustee Avalos.
Yeah. I wanna let people know that I've known for way over 30 years or longer. And
This is my great niece. And my sister-in-law. She's retired from the San Diego Unified.
yeah, I've known her for over 30 years. When I met your mom over 30 years ago, and I did your mother's hair every week. And it was because of your mother that I got the last beauty salon that I had there on Highland Street. And I remember your daughter wanted to be a hairdresser, did she? Yes.
Yes.
She is. Oh, wonderful. I'm so happy for you because I kind of thought that was a little inspiration. And I did her grandma's hair. And I'm so proud of you, like I really truly am. I remember when you were in Hollywood and they used to be out of school. And I'd be able to go down and visit you. But, I miss your mom. She was a wonderful lady. Really. She did so much for me. Unbelievably how much you did for me. I respect your whole family. Thank you so much. And you truly deserve this award and more. Thanks.
Thank you, everyone. Item 5E is to introduce and welcome new employees. Dr. Kevin?
I have the pleasure of introducing our new employees. Today, we have one new employee, and unfortunately, Ms. Mariana couldn't make it today, but Mariana Rios was hired as instructional assistant healthcare at Palmer Way School. Ms. Rios has experience as a substitute instructional assistant with the National School District, and she is also a student at San Diego Mesa College. So welcome, Mariana, to the NSD family.
At this time, not the student roundtable, but if you are, if you need to leave, we're getting ready to move to the business portion of the evening. And so we're happy to give you a moment to be able to go, not the student roundtable. So, but the rest of you, thank you so much for being a part of this tonight. And we will see you later.
Thank you.
All right, and for the rest of us. Item 6 is public communications. Public communication provides the public with an opportunity to address the board regarding an item on the agenda or other topic. Anyone wishing to address the board shall submit a request for oral communications card. Cards are available near the entrance to the boardroom and are to be submitted to the recording secretary. A member of the public who wishes to address the board on any such matter is limited to 3 minutes for one matter, up to a maximum of 5 minutes for all closed and open session matters. There shall be a limit of 20 minutes for any matter unless such time limit is waived by a majority vote of the board. Members of the public may not yield any time to other speakers. No board action can be taken. Other than the 4 cards I have for item 10A? Okay, thank you. Oh, no. We have 4 speakers to item 10A. Yes. Item 7 is the agenda. Item 7A, to accept the agenda. Do I have a motion? To approve. Second. I have a motion from trustee Bettencourt Castaneda and a second from trustee Sarmiento. Please vote.
Yeah, it passes unanimously.
All right. Item 8 is to approve consent agenda routine items of business. All items listed under the consent agenda are considered routine and will be acted upon in one action by the board. It is understood that the superintendent has recommended approval for these items. There will be no discussion prior to the time the board votes on the motion unless members of the board, staff, or public request specific items to be discussed and or removed from the consent agenda. All items approved by the board will be deemed considered in full and adopted as recommended. I do have a correction that will need to be considered for the motion. Item 8C lists Linda Vasquez as being at Las Palmas. She is not at Las Palmas, she is at Kimball. So we will need that correction for Linda Vasquez is at Kimball on item 8C. Other than that, do I have a motion to approve the correction to 8C?
Okay, second the motion.
Discussion?
So 8C to Linda Vasquez to reflect for Kimball.
Yes, please. I have a motion then with correction of Linda Vasquez being employed at Kimball on item 8C by trustee Bettencourt Castaneda and a second by trustee Nazarica. Please vote. It would have to be forced over here. It is lighting up, but it's not connecting.
Yeah, same here, that's it though.
I'd like to call for a oral vote, please.
Ms. Sarmiento?
Yes.
Ms. Avalos?
Yes.
Ms. Bettencourt Castaneda?
Yes.
Mrs. Zaraga?
Yes.
Ms. Gay?
Yes.
Item passes unanimously.
Item 9 is policies, regulations, and bylaws. Item 9A to adopt board policies and administrative regulations. Dr. Brady.
Yes, this is the third time that you've seen these policies. First time you took them for reading on your own. At our last meeting, we took some time and went through each one of these policies, and we had some very rich discussion and summarized the new changes and the new laws that these policies represent. Tonight, we're asking that the board adopt the policies as discussed at your last meeting. Thank you.
Do I have a motion to adopt?
I make a motion to adopt the policies.
I second the motion.
Any questions? All right, I have a motion to adopt from trustee Avalos and a second from trustee Lizarraga. Please vote.
Ms. Sarmiento?
Yes.
Ms. Avalos?
Yes.
Ms. Bettencourt Castaneda?
Yes.
Mrs. Zaraga?
Yes.
Ms. Gay?
Yes.
Item passes unanimously.
Thank you. Item 10 is general functions, and item 10A is to adopt a proclamation for the local emergency pollution environmental crisis. I have 4 speakers on this topic, and so we will hear from them first. Dr. Brady would like to introduce the topic for us, please.
Okay, if our speakers, if you want to call their names, we'll have them head over to the podium. And while they're heading over to the podium,
I have Kylie Romero, Apple Cabrones, Amelia Cortez, and Ivana Velasquez.
and Jacob is also with them. As you heard from the superintendent student roundtable, we really care a lot about environmental stewardship here in the National School District. At our February 28th meeting, we had a guest speaker at public comment, and that was one of our former trustees from the South Bay, Miss Mary Doyle, and she brought forward this very important topic around the pollution crisis that is happening on our shoreline. And as the board is aware, both from living here in the South County, but also much of the media that we've been seeing, our shoreline and our beaches have been closed here in the South County for more than 800 days. So this is a place where our students, our families can go, they can play, and they're not able to do that because the water in the ocean on our shoreline is contaminated. We've been spending the entire year as a superintendent student roundtable around the global goals, and this particular crisis is directly aligned with Sustainable Development Goal number 6. And after meeting with Ms. Doyle, and thank you for your time and coming to meet with us here at the National School District, I was able to bring this crisis to our roundtable, and we were able to work on adapting a proclamation for the board to consider tonight. And for the record, the roundtable felt that they would like to read to you this proclamation into the official record. So I will turn it over to the speakers to share that proclamation with the board that you will be considering tonight.
Whereas the Imperial Beach shoreline located in South San Diego County is polluted with sewage, industrial runoff, and trash from the Tijuana River. Whereas the Imperial Beach shoreline has been closed due to contaminated water for over 800 days. The communities of National City and San Diego are experiencing serious health, financial, and environmental impacts. And
whereas the faculty of National School District students highlights the critical importance of environmental stewardship and the urgency of addressing our shoreline's ongoing pollution crisis in alignment with the global objectives of the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. And whereas the crisis has negatively impacted the environment and significantly harming fish, shellfish, and other wildlife. And
whereas the coastal communities of South San Diego County are dealing with an unprecedented crisis that cannot be addressed locally. This urgent situation demands coordinated state and federal action. Now, therefore, we request that Governor Newsom proclaim a state of emergency in San Diego County and
be it further resolved, we urge Governor Newsom to request a federal emergency declaration for San Diego County and that President Biden award all appropriate federal assistance. And be it further resolved, we request that a copy of this proclamation be forwarded to the offices of President Biden, Vice President Harris, Governor Newsom, Congressman Vargas, and the United Nations.
All right, so at this time, we would like the board to consider adopting the resolution.
Do I have a motion to adopt this proclamation?
I motion to approve. Second.
Any
Second.
discussion? All right. I have, sorry, they're doing a really good job tonight. Okay, I'm just really proud of you guys. Like, you step up, you take these things and you take them seriously and you give them back to us and make us pay attention and take you seriously as well. And I wish that I had been that kind of student and person and community member as a kid. Just gonna say that before we go anywhere else, because I'm gonna struggle to read. Okay. Trustee Lizarraga.
Thank you. The reason that I mentioned the question earlier about how you can be switching this view of this goal in particular. So it's collective impact. You are doing that effort now. That's what I say. You're not the leaders of the future. The leaders of the present now. I'm very proud of you that you are making all these people engaged in this, because it's a collective impact on your side. And I'm really, really proud of you at this young age, not as a grown-up, you're calling our attention to this because it's really serious. So I really appreciate that. Thank you.
All right, now I'm gonna call for the vote, all right? We have a motion from trustee Bettencourt Castaneda and a second from trustee Sarmiento. Please vote.
Ms. Sarmiento.
Absolutely, yes.
Ms. Avalos.
Yes.
Ms. Bettencourt Castañeda.
Absolutely, yes.
Ms. Lizarraga.
Yes.
Ms. Gates.
Yes.
And passes unanimous.
Thank you, Jacob.
I'll use my best. You did it.
It was an honor to be asked. Thank you, everybody. Now, I don't know if your teachers let you off the hook with no homework. You can go home too. They might be wanting to talk to you out there, I don't know. I think you're being interviewed, my friends. Are you ready?
Roundtable can head to the foyer now, and with your parents as well. And Ms. Doyle, if you'd like to join them. Ms. Doyle, just in case, you're welcome to stay, but just in case.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. I think Chula Vista tonight is also voting on a similar.
Right on.
Yes.
That's awesome.
Thank you. All right, item 11 is educational services. 11A is presentation of the National School District Multi-Tiered System of Supports. Dr. Kraft.
Thank you, President Gates. I'd like to, at this moment, ask Ms. Melanese, Mr. Sanchez, Ms. Jeanette Tacto Collado, and I just, yeah. Guys, go on up there. I'll send this up.
Come aboard.
And Angela Franco, thank you.
All right. Good evening, President Gates,
board members, Dr. Brady, and executive cabinet. We're here tonight to share with you about our National School District's multi-tiered system of support. So specifically, we want to talk about the growth and implementation of our MTSS framework in the district. And we specifically chose this slide, which all means all, because our MTS framework is really about supporting every single child by name, by need. Our work in this area is also driven by the vision and our core values of the district. It is this work that motivates us to make sure, again, that every student and every family has what they need to be successful.
Okay, so here are the team that supports MTSS implementation at each of our NSD sites. It takes coordination of all team members to meet each child's needs. To enact our promise ensures that the NSD MTSS framework has a strong foundation and continues to be strengthened. We focus on collaborating with educational partners, with staff and leadership, because it does take a village. We're going to walk you through the essential domains and how we support the whole child.
From these four components, National School District has built a strong system that addresses the essential domains and features to support the whole child. These four domains have been the focus of NSD's multi-tiered system of support. In administrative domain, the data discussion allowed us to be able to have a very positive academic student trajectory. In the integrated support domain, data discussion gave us the tool to target the intervention by name, by need. And as we know, the school day does not end at 2:35 or 3 o'clock when the bell rings. In the family and community engagement domain, focus is reach and expanded learning opportunities program. In the inclusive policy domain, policy structures and practice domain, collaboration between student support service, principals, and educators provide opportunities for our students in the least restrictive environment by mainstreaming our special education students.
In this next slide, we're going to talk about the passion that educators have. Passion for kids, for students. When in this part, we're looking at the whole child. You'll see that at the heart of the system of everything we do in multi-tiered system of supports is that whole child. Creating systems to support them, collaborating together to meet their unique needs. One of the areas underneath this whole child is looking at the transformative social instruction and the mental health. This is a new and evolving section of this framework of MTSS. But even though it's new and evolving, we've been working on this collaboratively with our counselors to develop the CASEL, program. The program, when we look at transformative social emotional, you can see that we're looking at building self-identity of that child, building agency, where the child takes power for himself, just like our students that just presented for us. It was awesome to see that. And we're also looking for building a sense of belonging, which in the community of National City is something that we experience all the time. Thank you very much.
So another component that we address when we think about the whole child is behavior. And so what you see here is the triangle that the MTSS framework uses. And we think about the levels of support we provide for students. So around our triangle are the different supports we have in place in our schools to meet the behavior needs of our students. They can be implemented at Tier 1 for all of our students, Tier 2 for students needing more intervention and support with their behavior, or even at a more intensive level at Tier 3. But again, we focus on what are the needs of the child, and that's what determines what supports we provide and at what level. Specifically, I just want to show you one of the tools that we've been using, and that is really monitoring our behaviors. So we've been tracking how many behavior incidents have been happening at each school. And as you can see here, we have some data that tracks the major incidents and the number of students engaged in those incidences over the past 2 years. So we have the data from 2023, 2022, 2023, and 23 and 24. So as you can see in the blue graph, that we had 482 major incidences last year, behavior incidents. This year to date, I know we're not done with the school year, but we look like we're on a good trajectory for a big reduction in those major behavior incidents at 294. And again, you can also see a reduction in the number of students involved. So we feel like this one support of monitoring student behavior is already having a positive impact for our students.
We also monitor the academic instruction that's been happening in our classroom. As you can see, it's surrounded Tier 1, Tier 2, Tier 3, and it's surrounded by all of the different services that MTSS has been coordinating for the whole school year. And again, we're guided by name, by need. And here is some of the intervention that's been happening. The blue shows the intervention that was happening in 22-23, and the red is the intervention that's been happening in 23-24. As you can see, every services that we've been giving, both in ELA and math, are highly targeted, backed by data. One more. Here we have our iReady data for ELA and math from the beginning of the school year and the middle of the school year. As you can see, the beginning of the year for ELA, we have nearly doubled our students scoring in grade level, and same thing with math. That was 50% jump from 9% to 18% for math. Beautiful trajectory, isn't it?
Good evening. So you've been learning about how our MTSS coordinators have been working on fortifying systems within the National School District in being able to support the whole child during the school day. However, as Ms. Faulkner just mentioned, the school day doesn't end at 2:35 or 3 o'clock when the bell rings. That's when our National School District YMCA and REACH program plays a very vital role in continuing to develop the whole child within that system. So as coordinator of Ed Services, my focus this year has been in working collaboratively with the MTSS coordinators and our partners at the YMCA to enhance the extension of the school day. This year, we were actually able to establish a tighter, more cohesive system in being able to identify students who may benefit from before school or after school interventions within our academic support program. And by analyzing data and engaging in data discussions with our teachers, our MTSS coordinators have been able to identify students earlier in the school year than ever before for our initial interventions at the beginning of the school year. Midway through the school year, leveraging a new data management system that we have called Abre, we were able to identify individual students with specific needs and formed additional interventions for them for the second half of the school year. Programs like Achieve 3000 and Levered Math have been used to prepare our targeted students with the skills needed to be successful on the end of year SBAC assessment. As a result of a more cohesive system that we've created, we've been able to provide 15 additional intervention classes this year compared to last year in our extended learning program, which translates for us to be able to serve close to 200 additional students in the academic portion of the extended learning program. Now, beyond extending the instructional day with our academic support classes, our Expanded Learning Opportunities program offers a variety of enriching experiences for our students, including intramural sports, music and movement, art, STEAM activities, our fall, spring, and summer intersession programs, as well as educational field trips. These experiences support their social emotional learning by providing our students skills such as self-awareness, emotional management, and social interaction, which help them in school and beyond. The before and after school expanded learning opportunities also helps develop students' creativity by exposing students to culture using music and art, as we saw this evening. These new experiences spark creativity and broaden our students' horizons. Our expanded learning program serves as a toolkit that helps students grow academically, socially, and personally. And by combining the resources and support provided by our expanded learning program with the efforts of our leadership, of our certificated and classified staff, our families, our community partners, we can equip our students for a successful future with nurturing their overall development.
Thank you so much for your time. Do you have any questions?
Do we have questions?
Trustee Nisaraka.
I have questions, yeah. Yeah, I just cannot imagine how heated those discussions when all the leadership meetings are in regards challenging and how to tackle the issues in regards to social media issues. And I think I'm gonna stole Blanca's words when she mentioned that we need to see the kid and what's behind it when they step on the school. And I strongly believe that the system works when you see the kids on the whole. So what are the guidance or what is the most common talk when all those principals come together about the feedback from there? How do we solve and tackle those aligned with your role in the school? Because it's very crucial how they communicate with you about what challenges can be in regards to social media usage, family dynamics, and everything in between. So what is the common challenge that you can see in regards to parent engagement and how they can work well with the schools?
Sure. We work closely with principals for their cafecitos, and so we attend them, and also DLAC and ELAC. And so those are some of the topics that had come up, and we've done small group discussions with them, especially for our upper grade, because we are seeing things that has something to do with media exposure and things that kids are experiencing and seeing these days. So we're equipping our students with some of those coping mechanisms and how to really handle those things. And remember, at the beginning of the school year, we do have part of them being able to bring home their devices that we do have there. They have to be given them the lessons for all of those skills that they need to have first.
I just want to say that it's all about communication and making sure that all hands on deck. And so we have the support system that we showed earlier. We partner with the leadership, with counselors, and so we make sure that we have a close communication with our site principals, and that we're all in the same page. And then if there's any issues, we all put our heads together, say, okay, this is happening, so we know each child by name, by need, and be sitting in the SST meetings, we can reach out to the parents and let them know, okay, these are resources. So sometimes we would do check-in with those kids as we see them in the playground and the auditorium and having lunch. So it really brings us all together. It's like it takes a village. And this, by all means, I think it is a great example of how it really takes a village to really make sure each and every one of those children that walk into our campuses is successful and feels like they belong.
Thank you. I've seen you guys in action, but go ahead.
I just want to add one more thing to what she's saying about a village. Having a team on the site, it allows us to approach people differently. So maybe you get along really well with me. Maybe you had a bad experience over here. You don't want to talk anymore, whether it's a child or a parent. It's nice to have that team where there's multiple people that know what's going on and can talk through the issues with the student, with the family, and be able to provide the support necessary. Because sometimes this child doesn't want to listen to me, he's had a bad day with me, whatever it is, but then he goes over here to this other person and they're doing that. I found this year that the parents are the same way. Some parents I get along with really, really well. Well, can you hear this? Can you hear that? So it's really great to have a team for all of our community to talk to, parents and students alike.
Thank you.
Trustee Avalos?
I don't have a question, but I just want to thank you since I became a board member 2 years back. I can see that you're all here and that dedication and the passion that you have to teach our National City students and keeping up with what they're doing and how they're doing it and teaching them on what to do and what they should be doing. So I really I have a lot of respect for all of you now.
I think we might have more than a couple centuries.
Thank you so much for your dedication and your passion. Really, all of you. You've done a great job. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I have questions.
For sure you know.
Well,
the iReady information is exciting to see. I mean, when taking a look at it, and you know, my brain always wants, for whatever reason, my brain wants red on bottom. But to take a look and be able to see that red space is decreasing and being distributed, you know, as we encourage kids, like sometimes when I first started this back with Mrs. Franco quite a few years ago.
That's one I should.
But, you know, I didn't understand the power of moving those spaces the way we do. That there's a heavy push, that tier 2 intervention, that level with kids is and moving them along, being able to see some of that exciting growth from them. It's a beautiful thing to see. So to see, and it's weird because, like, if you take a look, I don't know what page 14, your iReady data shows the ELA beginning of year at 43% for tier 3, reduced to 32%. The yellow is also tier 2 reducing, because that green is growing so well, that tier 1 being able to get so much of their support from the classroom, from what everybody is getting. And it's good to be able to have that information right in front of us. I know that sometimes we look and we go, wow, 48 to 52, doesn't that mean did they grow up? Actually, it's because they moved out of, we had so many, we had 14% change at our red tier 3 level. And so sometimes we don't read the things and know what they're saying. That's a beautiful graph. So thank you to our teachers, thank you to our support staff, thank you to everybody who is investing in that way. Now, I do have a question for you, because it's me and you're stuck with questions. You mentioned on slide 11, reduction of behavior major incidents, but didn't quantify for us or qualify for us what a major incident would be. Like, what is an example of a major incident, so that we understand, and knowing full well there's a difference between a major incident for a TKer and a 6th grader. And yet, I know some people who go, oh, well, but they're little. That doesn't mean that our littlest ones don't also have major incidents and don't also need to be treated with care and with guidance in those major behavior incidents. So I'm asking if someone can give some clarification on what you mean there.
I'll give you an example of a major incident for a TKer. Like when they elope, you know, having not been in school for a long time, and now they have to be in school for the whole day. Some of them at the beginning of the school year, they don't want to be there, and so they run as fast as they can because they want to go home. They want to be with mom and dad. So eloping is an example of a major incident. And actually, so those are some of the behavior that we work with our TK teachers and with our students, so that they feel safe, they feel valued, and so they want to be in school. And I can tell you that right now we don't have any more students doing that as compared to the beginning of the school year. Major behavior for upper grade will be pretty major. You know, we have some vaping incidents in our schools, so that's a pretty major incident, as opposed to someone who's just probably throwing water at someone while they're in the bathroom, or putting paper towels on the ground.
I think we have shared definitions. We have our PBIS handbook, which helps define major incidents and minor incidents that all staff, it's reviewed every year. So we do have that calibration across our sites. But I think when you think of major, it's anything willfully defiant, aggressive, disruption, like major disruptions. So I think even in a TK class, you know, if you have a child that's willfully destroying things, right, that might be a major behavior incident. But the goal, again, within the MTS framework is to respond. What is causing the child to have that way? getting to know that child and then putting in the appropriate supports so that child has a reduction in those behaviors and hopefully an elimination of those behaviors, right? So again, we take each child by name, by need, getting to know their background, getting to know their family so that we can support the whole child.
So I just want to add one thing. So when we talk about all of this data that we collect, we actually sit down as a staff and look at it. We look at the data. Well, there's a lot of problems by the bathroom. We need a supervisor over by the bathroom. So it's not just, we can actually break it down. Who are those students? What are the types of major behaviors that are there? So eloping might not be a major behavior at first, but if it continues to happen, they're putting themselves in danger. So we look at all these patterns, and there's so many ways to look at the data. I just am fascinated with data. I'm sorry, but so when we start looking at that and using that data, whether it's academic data or whether it's the behavior data, to really target every single child and what they might need, that's where I think we're doing more good for kids. It takes time to get the teachers to put data in here, but what we get out of it is really worth the time.
Well, which is great for my next question.
But Ms. Gates?
Go for it.
I did want to share with the board, I'm not sure, is that the major and minor data pieces are part of our SIS system, our student information system. And multiple people are inputting into it, all the team community that you were speaking of. When we went through the major incidences, we did consult with PBIS, we looked at other pieces, but we also wanted to ensure that teachers, because it is by name by need, anybody reporting had the knowledge of the student with respect to the behavior. So one student eloping may result in, a major incident because there's been so many components in place to remedy it, that it's a major safety issue versus, a one-time incident that, was a result of you took my toy. And so when the students, when the teachers, the other people that reported go into our reporting system, there's a drop down there that helps with calibration. We ask for an antecedent location, time frame, and based off those data points, we're able to actually start understanding when and where are true major incident behaviors. And also, we can drill down to the student level. If we see a repeater, because you can pull up the list, we are able to start providing support services for that student fairly quickly, because now we have the data. We know where this might be happening, what might be producing the outcome. And we have the MTSS site coordinators are coordinating with our counselors, our psychologists. So there's multiple eyes that are wrapping around these students, and it is driven by a really robust data system.
Well, and I appreciate the eloping as an example, because on the one hand, I think we tend to think of, okay, a child left, they left, okay, or they're trying to leave. They've left the classroom, and we go, okay, well, sometimes, unfortunately, people's tendency is to go, oh, well, isn't that cute? They miss mommy, they miss daddy, they miss brother, they miss dog. And but if you're the teacher in a classroom with 27 children in it and one of your children has left, what are you supposed to do? You can't leave the 26. And then on top of that, a couple years ago, one of my sixth graders came to me first day of school. Mrs. Gates? Yes. So there's a kindergarten. It's my lunch break. Their recess. There's, I think, a kindergartner walking down the driveway because the child had been told, "I'll come get you after lunch." It's after lunch. You have to eat lunch. And so for that child, it was immediately, I ate lunch, and so now it's time to leave. And so we had a 5-year-old walking down towards a very busy street by themselves. And so eloping becomes a major problem when we have a child who has left. And so like I said, when you're talking about what a major incident is, it's not that the child is being harmful, hurtful, destructive. It's no less a major incident because we are talking about the safety of that individual child and the precedent it sets for everybody else who watches them leave. So I was curious about that. My second question is, are teachers and support staff feeling the difference though? So we have the data. Are they like, especially now we're coming into spring and we're getting a little wild, let's just be real. But are they feeling the difference in the classroom of, we're saying we have a reduction in major incidents. Are they feeling it in the classroom? Are they better able to teach and work with their students? It's great if the numbers are reducing, but if they are not feeling that and seeing that difference in their ability to work with students every day, our numbers are nice.
I have to say that.
And are we surveying them and talking them to them to know that?
So we do that at our PBIS meetings. We have different level meetings where teachers are part of it, the PBIS Tier 1, and we'll talk about the different issues that come up. And then we have a PBIS Tier 2 and 3, which is we talk about the more severe cases of kids who are constantly having problems and how are we addressing that. I feel that they are feeling that difference. And I hear it from teachers when they says, you know what, I really appreciate the fact that you were able to get back to me. So that goes back to what I said earlier about having a team of people. It could be the counselor, it could be the psychologist, it could be me as an MTSS or the principal. There are multiple people who can more immediately intervene with that child. When you have a 5-year-old who has a problem, if you do not address that issue pretty quickly after it happens, oh, well, that happened a long time ago. Well, it happened in the morning before school, or it happened yesterday. But, that was a long time ago for them. So with the younger kids, you really need to address it as soon as you can. So I think having more people on the team that can all address those issues really helps. And I definitely do hear that. At least I hear it more at one of my schools. I hear it a little bit at the other one, but really, really strongly at one of my schools I know.
Honestly, I would like to know that feedback as well. This information is extremely helpful to us, but what is our next step with it? And it's one of those, like I said, one of those connections. Are our teachers feeling that? Are they seeing it in the classroom? And how do we know and hear from them that they are? And the other piece to it, and this, you've already talked about this, is you talked about the feeling of safety at school. So I'm sorry, I was too busy writing down, hey, what about that one, to remember who said it, I'm sorry. But part of the point is that our kids feel safer at school so that they can continue to focus on what they need to do and that they feel successful at school. So how are we identifying that and hearing that information from our students as well? That it's one thing if major incidents are down, but it would and should have that ripple effect for everyone in safety, in confidence, in ability to focus on classroom, in success in the classroom. That we should be seeing all of that, and also in teacher and staff stress reduction. Like all of those things actually do play out from this. So I'm wondering how we're identifying that, and Dr. Kraft is waving at me.
So MTSS framework is never done. It's this ongoing continuous component, and incidences and situations continue to ebb and flow and rise. Coming out of the pandemic nationally, we have seen, and I just went to this research institute, an unprecedented amount of chronic absenteeism, behavior incidences. And so every school district is experiencing this, and every school district is working towards reducing it. Every step makes an impact. And so I have been able to take surveys. I'm taking them with our school psychologists. We have put many things in place to alleviate the impact. We partnering with our SELPA and bringing behavior specialists. We have VBAs. We are looking at further training for our teachers. One thing that I did learn in the Research Institute, that this is a long game, and that there's been an actual shift from the sociologists providing us this information with respect to that. So we just have to continue to put those components in place so that teachers do it. And earlier in this slide, they spoke about that transformative. If you could go to that slide, please. The transformative right here, social emotional instruction. They mentioned that this was a new component because this is a result of the rise of what is being seen, not just in California, not just in national, but nationally. And it's not just about the kids feeling this support piece, but it's a dynamic between all staff, not just teachers, because we've got aides that are experiencing it, or classified staff who are working sometimes with students who have escalated in behaviors, and they are the first responder. Our school psychologists, our CPI, we are monitoring when they are actually doing restraints versus actually having incidences. Our restraints have stayed somewhat, on par post-COVID, but being called out has increased. And this is, part of the work that school psychologists deal with, our counselors. And so with this, what the guidance is coming out with CDE is they're going to start really pushing ways that both adults and students can have that, not just that physical sense of safety, but also the psychological piece. We have been monitoring our CHICS data closely, especially, am I saying that right? California Healthy Kids Survey. Thank you, I knew it. And we have seen, as we are getting further and further out from the pandemic, an increase in a sense of safety. But we are seeing a significant shift, and this is something we will be tackling in terms of self-regulation, especially when students are moving out of the 5th to the 6th grade level. And so this is something that we have been talking about with our student services teams, that we're going to be monitoring closely with our MTSS site coordinators next year. I think the new principal from Ira brought it up. I'm not sure if she said it here, or if I heard her earlier, that they're seeing these components in a high level of disengagement by 7th and 8th grade. And so this emerged. This is going to give us guidance. And I think overall, the educational community is working collectively together to resolve it. Again, beyond, in the classroom, on the playground, every staff member, who's the hero that walks onto a campus, also is dealing with these dynamics. So again, we're going to continue to focus on this. We're going to continue to grow it, and hopefully we're going to get more guidance from the state around this transformative piece, which they believe is going to be the game changer in the classroom.
I appreciate pointing out and stating that it is a long term. I mean, but this is not ever going to be a one and done. We fixed all your problems. You'll never have another problem again. Well, you know what I mean? Yeah. And we know that as adults, we carry our own weights with us every day we come to work and to the classroom, and so do our kids. And just because one thing got sorted out doesn't mean that there aren't 50 other things to sort out. So honoring that in our children and in our staff it's important. So thank you. Any other questions? All right, thank you, everybody. I do want to mention, yes, Trustee Betancourt Castañeda has had to step out. She has been called away. So we will continue our meeting. Thank you. All right, item 11B, to approve digital subscription with the Wonder Years. Dr. Kraft?
Thank you, President Gates. Several board meetings ago, it was brought up that our health our curriculum that relates to reproduction. The AEG curriculum was outdated and was not aligned to the current health standards that have emerged from California. We want to make sure that we are providing our students with that very important information and to bring more light into the curriculum and a little bit of a highlight. I'm going to ask Ms. Melanese to go up to the podium and explain a little bit more about the Wonder Years and kind of what the areas are that are being addressed in the late intermediate school grades. There has been a shift.
Yes, so this curriculum is aligned with the California Healthy Youth Act and along with the National Sexual Education Standards. So this is a program specifically designed for 4th, 5th, and 6th grade students. And I'm going to look here because there's a lot of information about it. But the areas covered when I look at their scope and sequence, and these are what is required now or recommended, are anatomy and physiology. So again, appropriate for boys and girls for grades 4, 5, and 6. Puberty and adolescent sexual development, consent and healthy relationships. So some of these are big shifts from our old curriculum. Gender identity and expression, sexual orientation and identity, sexual health, and interpersonal violence. So there's discussions around consent, peer relationships. Another strong piece to this is that there's a family component. So we can make sure that our families are able to talk with their children about this, whether or not they decide to have their children participate in this curriculum during the school day.
All right, Dr. Kraft?
Yes, I wanted to add and make sure that it was clear that parents will have the opportunity, as they always have, to view the curriculum and the materials prior to delivery. We did explain this. We did bring it to consultation. 2 consultations ago, starts going, and discussed, that those components are still in place, as well as a parent who chooses to not have their student engage in this. That is the protocol from the state, in which they would then be entitled to parity instruction while this curriculum was being taught with respect to these topics.
Trustee Lizarraga?
Yeah, thank you. I just went to a workshop in regards to these communications from parent to the adolescent or the youth, and I came across with very hesitance to talk about those topics, and they were like youth, and they were I think Dr. Probably addressed the question I was about to do about parents, and it's very difficult for a parent, and specifically if you have boys and girls or on all this kind of situation in regards healthy relationship as well in regards this age. So that, I think you already answered the question when I clicked the button, but it is crucial to see that proper language to guide the parents to engage them in this part. And I was wondering if that was the case, but she already answered the question. So it would be nice to have that feedback from them and let them aware that that's going to happen at school. And we have this conversation again because it's hesitant to speak about it is very uncomfortable. But we have to do that anyway. And thank you.
We did all our questions beforehand. Do I have a motion to approve the digital subscription?
I move to approve.
I second the motion.
All right, any further questions? All right, I have a motion from trustee Lizarraga and a second from trustee Avalos. Please vote.
Ms. Sarmiento?
Yes.
Ms. Avalos?
Yes.
Ms. Lizarraga?
Yes.
Ms. Gage?
Yes.
Item passes unanimously.
Okay, item 12 is human resources.
Madam President,
Yes, ma'am.
I'm thinking of asking to table this particular item, and I'll tell you why. There's a lot going on here in light of budget concerns, future budget concerns. I'm apprehensive about bringing on someone into a brand new position. Also, the fact that the individual that had left, that was the Director of Literacies, Educational Technologies, and Innovation, is leaving all of those positions uncovered. How are we going to go ahead and cover those with just one person doing one job. And I'd like to hear more information. I'd like to have maybe a report on, what's been going on. I don't know a lot of what's been happening in that department up until now, until I get this request for a new director, and I'm feeling very apprehensive about it.
Any thoughts from the rest of us?
I guess we do need some more information on it.
Are you feeling the same way? All right. Dr. Keppen, it's officially under Human Resources. If you would like to do a tag in Dr. Kraft then on the parts that are appropriate.
Yeah, so this position would be an educational services department. And as Ms. Sarmiento said, we did, our director of literacies, it's called Letty, yeah. Our director of Letty did retire. And as a result, we also have another data analyst that has also left the district. So it's a combination of those two positions. They are budgeted already for those positions that were vacant. They're vacant positions right now. So it would actually save money combining those two into this position. And I can have Dr. Kraft talk a little bit more, but I've also invited David Della Casada to speak to this item.
I'm just going to check in really quickly. You mentioned tabling. If they're able to share with us now, so we at least get information.
The whole idea of holding off on this is so that we can get all of our research done between now and the next meeting if necessary, as opposed to giving us all a quick answer and having us vote. You know what I mean?
Okay, I'm being asked by Dr. Brady if we can collect the various questions so that we could.
Now or between now and then? When are you talking about?
I think we can do both. Well, if you have questions on your mind now, and then questions that come up along the way.
That's why the purpose of tabling it.
Okay. I can. Okay, well then, are you making a motion to table?
Yes.
Thank you.
And I second the motion.
Okay, thank you. So we have a motion to table 12A. We've had discussion. Please vote.
Ms. Sarmiento?
Yes.
Ms. Avalos?
Yes.
Ms. Sara, I'm sorry.
Yes.
Ms. Gates?
Yes.
And it passes to table.
Okay. Direction would be then for the board that we will gather whatever questions that we have so that we can pass them on. Who would be our contact person most directly? Okay, to Dr. Brady regarding this this job description so that we can feel more educated ourselves before voting on that.
I would really appreciate that because that's exactly what's happening. It's a gray area. I don't have a lot of questions answered or justification for why we're doing or why this is even brought up. And, I know Mr. Della Casada has been on board for some period of time now, and I don't want anyone to think I think any less of your expertise, because I know he comes very highly recommended, and I've heard the stories. So I know he knows what he's doing, but also too, I'd like to see, like I said, maybe see a report, what are his feelings as far as what has he learned while he's been in this position for the past X amount of months. And also to have some justification in my own mind that we're doing the right thing. Like I said, in light of the budget issues that, are looming in the future, I'm nervous about bringing someone into a brand new position. Yes, I know we may be saving money, but also too, we've got, people that are kind of moving around here and there. And I want to make sure we do this right and do it appropriately. And, it's a big decision to make. And that's why I'm asking this. Thank you.
Dr. Kraft?
Yes, we have been spending a bit of time and have been I put it in the board memo. we have had a modernization in terms of our needs, in terms of technology. And so with that in mind, when we start thinking about such things as cybersecurity, we went, Letty was what's called educational technology. And that's the placement of software, instructional pieces, those data pieces that you've seen, which we are settled. Now that kicks back into what's called an IT component, where there has to be monitoring. There's student information, student data that's involved in it. And so the Director of Informational Technology actually mimics what other districts have now come to understand, is that big data is huge in our industry right now. And that in order to ensure cybersecurity and the monitoring of more distance pieces, that is something that we've looked at. I just wanted to make sure that that was stated.
Trustee Lizarraga?
I think we do have a quick comment to be waiting for the trustee that has to leave and waiting for her feedback to be included in this conversation. So that's why we approved to table it up, to see if she has some feedback and to be fair for everybody.
Thank you, appreciate that.
Dr. Brady?
Yeah, so this item was for a job description only, not to actually vote on putting a person, but it sounds like it would be beneficial if we had an overall comprehensive look at the shifts that Dr. Kraft was starting to allude to, what the current needs are in the evolving technology sector, how that impacts National School District, and how maybe the different positions would flesh out based on who's currently here, what we currently offer, and what our current needs are, what that delta is, and then maybe move forward with implementing that plan. And so we'll go ahead and we'll work with David and the technology team. We'll work with HR. We'll come up with a plan through Dr. Kraft for a presentation only at the next board meeting, and then maybe a timeline in there as well as to when we can start looking at making shifts if the board feels they're necessary.
Thank you.
All right. Item 12B, to approve out-of-state travel for Dr. Maritza Keppen and Dr. Sharmila Kraft to attend the Association of Latino Administrators and Superintendents Leaders in Equity Conference. Do I have a motion?
I have a motion to approve.
I second the motion.
Any input or questions? All right, I have a motion by Trustee Lizarraga, a second by Trustee Avalos. Please vote.
Ms. Sarmiento?
Yes.
Ms. Avalos?
Yes.
Ms. Lizarraga?
Yes.
Ms. Key?
Yes.
And Pastor Sinatra?
Item 12C, to conduct a public hearing regarding the initial proposal from the National School District to open negotiations with the California School Employees Association and its Chapter 206. The board will now hear comments from any members of the public who wish to speak on this matter. Thank you. As part of this hearing, we will make a brief statement. Dr. Keppen.
This is the National School District's proposal to open up negotiations for the contract for CSEA. That entire contract expires in June. So we will continue or start or begin negotiations as soon as we can.
Do members of the board have comments or questions? All right, then we will close this hearing. Item 12D, to adopt the initial proposal from the National School District to open negotiations with the California School Employees Association and its Chapter 206.
Move to adopt.
I second the motion.
Any input? Any questions? All right, I have a motion from Trustee Sarmiento and a second from Trustee Lizarraga. Please vote.
Ms. Sarmiento?
Yes.
Ms. Avalos?
Yes.
Ms. Lizarraga?
Yes.
Ms. Key?
Yes.
And Pastor Sinatra?
All right. I have item 12E to conduct a public hearing regarding the initial proposal from the California School Employees Association. And it's chapter 206. I'm sorry. I was afraid that I had misread the piece. The board will now hear comments from any members of the public who wish to speak on this matter.
No speakers.
As part of this hearing, we will make a brief statement. Dr. Kevin?
Again, just another public hearing, and if anybody of the community has any input on what to say in regards to the proposal, this would be the time to state that, and we don't have any speakers. But again, approving this moves us forward for negotiations for the new collective bargaining agreement for CSEA.
Do members of the board have comments or questions? All right, then we'll close this hearing. Thank you. Item 12F, to adopt the initial proposal from the California School Employees Association and its chapter 206. Do I have a motion?
I make a motion to approve.
I second the motion.
Any input? Any questions? All right, then. I have a motion from trustee Avalos, a second from trustee Lizarraga. Please vote.
Ms. Sarmiento.
Yes.
Ms. Avalos.
Yes.
Ms. Lizarraga.
Yes.
Ms. Key.
Yes.
Item passes unanimously.
Item 12G, to adopt resolution 23-24.30 in recognition of Certificated School Employee Week, May 6th to the 10th, 2024. Do I have a motion?
I have a motion to approve.
I second the motion.
Do I have any input? Any questions? We are thankful for all our teaching staff and all of their many roles. We have a motion by trustee Lizarraga, a second by trustee Avalos. Please vote.
Ms. Sarmiento.
Yes.
Ms. Avalos.
Yes.
Ms. Lizarraga.
Yes.
Ms. Key.
Yes.
Item passes unanimously.
Item 12H, to adopt resolution number 23-24.31 in recognition of Classified School Employee Week, May 20th through 24th, 2024. Do I have a motion?
Move to approve. I second the motion.
All right, do I have any input or any questions? Again, we're thankful for our classified school employees without whom we do not run. The truth. All right. I have a motion from trustee Sarmiento and a second from trustee Avalos. Please vote.
Ms. Sarmiento.
Yes.
Ms. Avalos.
Yes.
Ms. Lizarraga.
Yes.
Ms. Key.
Yes.
Item passes unanimously.
Item 12I, to adopt resolution number 23-24.32 in recognition of the week of the school administrator, May 27th to the 31st, 2024. Do I have a motion?
I make a motion to approve.
Yeah, I do second the motion.
Any input or questions?
It's a huge thank you for what they do. School administrators are very important to recognize.
We are thankful for our principals all the way up to our superintendents and to the very many in between. And I do not envy you your jobs. I have a motion to approve from trustee Avalos, a second from trustee Lizarraga. Please vote.
Ms. Sarmiento.
Yes.
Ms. Avalos.
Yes.
Ms. Lizarraga.
Yes.
Ms. Key.
Yes.
Item passes unanimously.
All right, item 13 is business services. 13A, presentation and approval of National School District Audit Report and its findings for the 22-23 fiscal year. Dr. Burke.
Yes, thank you, President Gates. The presenter for the next three items is going to be Kevin Sproul from Wilkinson, Hadley, and King. And these items all pertain to audit reports required external audits that we have done as a public entity. Our accountability is to the public our program runs on tax dollars, so we have audits annually to ensure that we are using the public funds the proper way. And so, Kevin?
Good evening, board. I know this is everyone's favorite part of the evening. Who's excited for the audit report? I'm really shocked you didn't put me like right after the awards because this is also uplifting and inspiring. So for anyone who hasn't sat through a presentation by me before, what I typically do is I just kind of go through the sections of the audit report. If there are any major changes or things that I need to bring to your attention, I will. I'll talk a little bit about the fiscal health of the district throughout, but there's one schedule in the supplemental that I typically like to focus on for general fund. And then if you have any questions when I'm done, I'll open it up to that. So it starts out with the independent auditor's report. And the very first paragraph now after SAS 134 is the opinion paragraph. And we were able to do an unmodified audit opinion, and that is what you want each year on your audit report. So that's the first thumbs up. Following that letter is the management discussion and analysis. And this is an unaudited portion of the audit report that is prepared by the district. So these are just some highlights that the district wants to point out of the financials. And the basic financial statements follow directly after the MD&A. So the basic financial statements are made of two main sets. There's a government-wide, and then there's the governmental. So as a district, you operate under a modified accrual. And that means that any long-term assets and liabilities are not on your regular operating books. So as auditors, we assist the district in converting from governmental modified accrual to full accrual accounting. So these first two, the statement of net position and the statement of activities, those are your full accrual financial statements. I know, thrilling. But basically what it does is it brings those capital assets and the debt right onto the financial statements. One of the nice things about going from government-wide to governmental is that there are reconciliation schedules shown on page 17 and 18 for the balance sheet, and then on page, I believe it's 20 and 21 for the income statement. And so that'll show you those transactions that occur on, versus modified and the full accrual method. You'll see the inclusion of capital assets, you'll see the general obligation bonds, those items put in there. After the basic financial statements are the notes to the financial statements. And during my presentation, this is where I say, if you have trouble sleeping, go to these notes and keep it by your bed. 5 minutes of reading these things and you're out like a light. But they are important and they serve two main purposes. The first is that they dictate the policies accounting-wise of the district. So the different policies, a lot of them are very standard policies, but they still are outlined in the first section. In note A. And then after note A is when they become important for those who want to dig deeper into the financial statements, because they start to break down the individual line items that you see on the balance sheet into more detailed items. So for example, if you wanted to know what, with more detail, what accounts receivable is made up of, page 37, note E, has the accounts receivable note. And it'll tell you, these are the federal government accounts receivable, these are the state accounts receivable, these are local accounts receivable. And so you can take that financial statement and you can start to piece it out and break it down. So if you're ever looking to get some more detail, this is where you would go, to that second part of the notes to the financial statements. It also has a lot of really standard language for pension and for OPEB, with a lot of charts in there that kind of help you can see the district's proportionate share of some of these items, the state's proportionate share of some of these items. So it is pretty interesting, but it's really, really in the numbers. So just be prepared if you want to go slogging through, so to say. After the notes, the first section are the required supplementary information schedules. And these are schedules that every district audit report has to include. The very first one is a budgetary comparison schedule, and that just compares your original and final budgets to the actual numbers for the general fund. Pretty simple. After that are several 10-year schedules that have to do with pensions and OPEB. And that's just breaking down a couple pieces of the pension and a couple pieces of the OPEB every year for 10 years. So it's a lot of stuff. And what's crazy is the pension, it brought in by GASB 67. Next year will be the first year where we have 10 years of data. That's how long we've been presenting this stuff. So it kind of blew my mind because it feels like, you know, a long time and not a long time at the same moment of when we have how long we've been presenting this stuff. After the required supplementary information are the combining statements. And so what that means is we present the financials based on a major fund, and then the non-major funds are combined into one column. And so if you go to page 77, you'll see the different funds that got combined and squished together into that one non-major funds column. So if you want to know specifically what the cafeteria fund revenue was, you could go to those schedules and look just at that fund. So another way to kind of see another level of the financials. Following those combining statements are the supplementary information, and these schedules are required because of the audit guide that CDE, SCO, and EAP give every year to the auditors that we have to follow. So these schedules we have to put in because of the audit guide. And they include the organizational structure, scheduled ADA, scheduled instructional time, and then I like to look at page 82, the schedule of financial trends and analysis. So I'll wait till you get there. And the reason I like to bring this up is this is a general fund report, you know, so you do have plenty of activity in other funds, but this is a yearly snapshot of the general fund revenues, expenses, and, you know, kind of that bird's eye view. And so you can really quickly see any trends, whether positive or negative, when you look at this bird's eye view year-to-year schedule. Now, the good thing, you'll notice that third line, net change in fund balance, has been positive all those years. Now, you know, Dr. Berg can talk to this. There's a lot of one-time funds that have happened, but trust me, I've been to a lot of districts and a lot of charters. Not everyone stayed positive every year. Some people had out of control costs, and so that is obviously to be commended. But one of the other things that I like to look at also in combination with that is you see the ADA also went down, which across the state of California you saw. But a lot of times that coincided with a negative change in net position or whatnot. And so once again, it's that everyone coming together when the pandemic and we came all back. It's been a difficult road back to, you know, getting to back to that starting point. But the district has worked really hard. You can tell by the numbers that it has. So following the supplemental schedules, there are 3 other independent audit reports. And they are the letter over governmental audit standards. That's the first one. It's called the GAS letter. Really bad name. But it basically is the report over internal control over the financials. The second one is a letter over the federal audit, the single audit that was done. And the last one is the internal control and audit compliance audit over the state audit. And the part that every board wants to see, if we go to page 97, you can see the summary of each of those letters. So for the financial statements, you can see that we issued an unmodified audit report. For the federal awards, we issued an unmodified audit report. And on the next page, you'll see for the state awards, we issued an unmodified audit report. We were also able to mark that we did not have any findings this year, which is shown on the next page, page 99. Now, I do like to have a little soapbox message here. Please remember that if you do have findings in a year, that it doesn't mean that somebody completely failed at their job. there are sometimes items that a clerical error on a state compliance thing requires that we issue a finding. But that doesn't mean that somebody did something bad or somebody was malicious or anything like that. So I just like to remind people, findings are not the end of the world. And even when it has a fiscal impact, there are lots of avenues and venues that a district can take to remedy the finding. So just for future, just in case it happens. We have done the audit so far this year, and so far it's been good. And you can see on the very last page that in the prior year, there was an independent study finding, and we were able to say that that was implemented. If it wasn't, there would be another finding in the current year, but we didn't have to issue that. So that is the national audit report. Are there any questions on that? I know it's a lot of information all at once.
Any questions? It looks like the answer is no.
Okay. Do you want me to go and just present all three, or do you want to go one at a time and do the?
I need to actually, we need to approve.
Okay.
So we'll be presenting, approving, just.
Yep.
Along, thank you. So based on the presentation of the National School District Audit Report and its findings for the 22-23 fiscal year, do I have a motion to approve those findings?
I have a motion to approve.
Do I have a
Second.
Thank you.
Approval of the audit.
Approval of the audit report, yes, and its findings, yes. Input or questions? All right, I have a motion by trustee Avalos and a second by trustee Sarmiento. Please vote.
Ms. Sarmiento?
Yes.
Ms. Avalos?
Yes.
Mrs. Sarah?
Yes.
Ms. Peak?
Yes.
Item passes unanimously.
Item 13B, presentation and approval of National School District Measure HH Bond Audit Report for the 22-23 fiscal year.
This one is even more straightforward. It is just a report over the Measure HH portion of the building fund. And so the entire building fund is part of the district audit. And so this is a piece of that. It is specifically on November 8, 2016, Measure HH was passed, issue up to $30 million in general obligation bonds. So this report is set up in the same way. There is an opinion letter followed by a management discussion analysis, the MD&A. Following that are the financial statements. So on the opinion letter, and it's formatted the same way as the district, we were able to issue an unmodified audit opinion on Measure HH Building Fund. So following that is the MD&A, which are basically summary schedules of the financials that we look at. And the MD&A does show them for last year and this year and the change between. So if you're curious about that, you can use the MD&A there. And then these financial statements, you'll notice, are a lot smaller, a lot less activity on them. And that's because it's just the bond pieces. There's not all the other activity that a district has. After the financial statements are the notes, same as before. That note A within the notes are the accounting policies that Measure HH operates under for this report. Following the letter A are a lot of the same notes. You'll see the same formatting. We like to try and keep it pretty routine. That way people looking at different reports know exactly what they're looking at when they look at our audits. You'll see accounts receivable, accounts payable, but this time it's not a whole page for the accounts receivable note. It's a line that says interest receivable. So this one is a lot more of a basic audit report. You'll notice the general obligation bonds. So far there is 12 million. And so if you remember, the Measure HH has up to 30. And so we will continue to do these audit reports until all of the funds have actually been spent. But then once all the bonds have been issued, one new thing you will see in the report each year is it's called a going concern. And those go into bond audits once everything has been issued and will stay there until all the money has been spent. And that's just because a going concern in accounting terms means They're unsure about the future of that entity. And so as a bond, you know that no more funding is going to happen once you've issued all those bonds. And so that's why it goes in once that happens. It's like a trigger. So right now you're at 12, so there's another 18 that can be issued before that happens. But once again, in the future, just don't be scared. Because people hear going concern sometimes like, what do you mean? How does the bond go out of business? But you don't have to worry about that. Following all those notes, there is the other information. This is kind of a summation of the different projects that are being worked on by the bond and where they are being worked on school site wise. After that, there is the performance letter and the independent auditor's report over internal control. And so the performance letter is the one that's a little bit different for bonds because it kind of says the processes that were gone through during the bond audit and what we tested, what we looked at, some of the items that we saw on a walkthrough. If there was a lot of new building, we might have a maintenance person drive us to the new building and say, okay, you spent a bunch on an elevator, show me the elevator. Hey, it's an elevator, congratulations. And so that's what that letter does. It kind of just gives a little bit of insight into our own process for the board. Those two letters are then summed up on page 32, and we were able to do an unmodified audit opinion on the financial statements, and the performance audit also had an unmodified audit opinion with no findings. So that's great. And that is the bond presentation. Any questions?
All right, seeing as there are no questions, is there a motion to approve the National School District Measure HH Bond Audit Report for the 22-23 fiscal year?
Move to approve.
I second the motion.
Any input, any questions?
I have a question. I know that this is internal and I know that this is internal, but how we gonna translate all that? Because in the purpose of transparency with all constituents, how are we gonna pass all the beautiful things that happen? And because this is great news in regards how we improve Excel, but I mean, our schools are getting old and we need to take care of them, right? Because I know I've seen marquees and different prices and we all like to see beautiful stuff happening, but in regards to compliance, I mean, how are we gonna do with that compliance component about how the school is served to make it public, to know? This is a lot of things to digest for our struggling parents that they bring our kids to school. It's just a thought. So, you elaborate on that for
Dr. Brady?
Yeah,
You're talking about how do we make public some of the bond expenditures and the projects to upgrade our facilities. That's a great question. On this agenda, on 13D, we do have a discussion on facility safety, and I think Dr. Burke's going to touch on a little bit of what projects are out there, and our bond specifically focuses on safety and accessibility, and so you'll probably hear a little bit of that tonight. And then our goal is for next board meeting to have the architect come and present, and also our bond advisor. And then once we have that presentation to the board and we get your guidance and blessing, then we can start going out and letting people know, here are the projects coming to your school.
Thank you. Yeah, it is important to express what we're doing great too, because that encourages interest and engagement and to keep people on the loop of these great things are happening thanks to our engagement, and that may encourage people to inquire more. And just for purpose of transparency, well, we're doing great too. Not only, yes.
Yeah, one of the things we do is, obviously we read the Citizens Oversight Committee meeting minutes. But what many people don't realize is the Citizens Oversight Committee isn't the committee that the expenditures go to, that the bids go to. They're basically just saying, hey, is the district doing their job correctly? And that's all they do. You all handle everything else because everything comes from Fund 21. And so all of the normal processes that you enter into as a board with all of your measures, with your contracts, all of those things, many people don't realize they're actually for the bonds because it's part of the normal district discourse.
Yeah, normal family may not understand what a bond actually is entitled for. So that's what my intention of questioning is how we're gonna pass these beautiful things to our families.
Yeah.
And that creates trust on the leadership.
Didn't we send out a flyer a year or two ago that gave some thank you, something like, I remember at my house getting a half page or something flyer.
We sent a postcard 2 years in a row in the summer, and in each of those postcards, we did thank our community for the bond project. So we can continue to do that again this summer. And then also, I think I kind of looked down at Dr. Burke, I think having some coffee chats where parents can engage in some conversation, because there's some really great things happening. And some schools haven't gotten some of those new things yet. They may say, well, what about the playground at our school? And what about something else? So maybe a nice opportunity once we get guidance from the board and the green light to go and start talking about what those projects are. But yes, thank you for the reminder that we did send out a postcard as well.
I think we're still at approval. I have a motion by trustee Avalos and a second by trustee Sarmiento to approve the National School District Measure HH Bond Audit Report for 22-23 fiscal year. Please vote.
Ms. Sarmiento?
Yes.
Ms. Avalos?
Yes.
Mrs. Sauer?
Yes.
Ms. Gates?
Yes.
Item passes unanimously.
Item 13C, presentation and approval of Integrity Charter School Audit Report and its findings for the 22-23 fiscal year. Mr. Sproul.
What? This is very similar to the district report, except it's just like a smaller version of it. Charter schools already operate under full accrual, so there's no need for the conversions that a district has to go through. So once again, same formatting. The first thing is the independent auditor's report where the opinion is. And we were able to do an unmodified audit opinion. So that's great. And there's actually no requirement for the MD&A in charter schools. So that's another little different that you'll see there. And then are the statements of financial position, statement of activities. There's a statement of functional expenses. And one thing that we show here, since they are full accrual, is a statement of cash flows. For anyone who's familiar with cash flows, we do present it in the indirect and the direct method. So whatever you're more familiar with, you can see both. And that's basically just the reconciliation of what is actually a cash. You know, you actually pay vendors. But when you book depreciation, it's not an actual cash item that is leaving the school. And so this is like a reconciliation to say, hey, yes, we booked depreciation, but it didn't actually lessen our cash. So let's add it back in. After those financial statements are, once again, the notes. A lot of them are going to look very similar. Maybe this one will be better for your bedside because it's smaller. But the first part, again, is going to be the policies, accounting-wise, that the charter school operates under. One of the new things that they got this last year is something that the districts already had, and that's leases. So they had to implement what was FASB 842, and that's the leases that nonprofits have. And so the right of use assets for operating and finance leases are now part of the financial statements for nonprofits. After the note A, once again, are the other notes that start to break down those individual pieces of the audit report. Like, once again, accounts receivable, accounts payable, fixed assets. You will see on page 19, note G, that's the brand new note that nonprofits got this last year. And Any leases that are entered into from now on will basically the present value of those leases. So all the payments that are going to be made, how much that equals in today's dollars, will basically be compared to whatever their normal materiality is. So if it's $5,000 to capitalize an item, that's what it'll be compared against. And if that lease is under that amount, then they don't have to add it to these schedules. But if that lease is over that amount, then we'll have to add it to the schedules, and all of the different notes and financial statement items will then apply to that lease going forward. After the notes of the financial statement, you'll see those very similar supplementary information schedules, the governing board, the scheduled ADA, the schedule the instructional time, and then once again, I like to look at the financial trends and analysis, and that's kind of where I zero in on. And you can see that they, as in Integrity, was also able to maintain a positive change in net assets. So that's what you want. Basically, they brought in more revenue than they sent out in expenses. So you, like I said, you want to see that. And then you can also see their ADA. They did dip down, but for the 2022 year, but they did come back up for 2023. And they project that they're going to go back up above pre-pandemic levels in 2024. So hopefully they're on track for that. After the supplemental information are once again those same three letters that we saw in the district report. There's the GAS letter that is over the governmental auditing standards. There's the uniform guidance letter that is over the single federal audit. And then there's the state letter that's over state compliance and internal control over state compliance. And those are all summarized on page 42. So you'll see financial statements. We were able to issue an unmodified audit report. For the federal awards, we were able to issue an unmodified audit report, and the state awards, we were able to issue an unmodified audit report. And you can see on the next page that we did not have to issue any findings for Integrity this year, which is great. We had some potential issues just because of data that I was missing. I actually did the audit this year for Integrity. We've got 2 charter teams, but they were able to clear everything up. And I think that's a really important thing. My last little soapbox is having a team mentality when it comes to the audit. We're not out to get any of our clients. Nobody wants to believe me when I say this, but I hate findings just as much as you all. They are so much extra work for me. There's extra writing, there's a lot of questions, there's a lot of explanations that have to happen. So we try to have a constant dialogue with our clients throughout the year. If they have questions, they can email us. Some of the new things that are hitting this year with ELOP and Prop 28 Arts and Music. Once we saw what the audit guide looked like last October, we sent out some information like, hey, this is what they're showing us. Not exactly sure what that means for the audit, but now you have as much information as we do. And so we really try to have a back and forth communication so that anything that can be cleared up before an audit or before an audit report is issued, we try to make that happen. Any questions?
I just have a verification question in regards. When I saw National School District as a low risk auditee.
Yes.
And Integrity is the opposite. So
yes.
do you mind elaborating?
So on that page, that refers to the federal audit piece only, and it has to do with the Federal Audit Clearinghouse. So that is an entity that the federal government has that you log into and you fill out some information on the audit and you upload an audit report and you hit submit. And until you've done that 2 years in a row, you're a high risk auditee. And if you're late for any reason in those years, you're a high risk auditee. Some of the other factors would be if you have federal findings, but Integrity didn't have any federal findings. So once they have those federal audit clearinghouses for those 2 years in a row, then there'll be a low-risk oddity again. And all that means is the percentage of federal programs that we test. So if they're a high-risk oddity, we actually test 40%. So we do more testing if it says high risk there.
Okay, thanks.
Any other questions? Okay. Thank you for your time.
No problem.
Make information.
And I'm glad that we bore you with the no findings.
Yeah.
All right, so I need to have a motion to approve the Integrity Charter School Audit Report and its findings for the 22-23 school year.
Sorry.
Input or questions?
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. All right, then I have a motion from trustee Sarmiento and a second from trustee Avalos. Please vote.
Ms. Sarmiento?
Yes.
Ms. Avalos?
Yes.
Mrs. Sauer?
Yes.
Gay?
Yes. Item 13D is a discussion of facility safety led by Dr. Park.
Okay, thank you very much, Board President Gates. This conversation is in response to Trustee Lizarraga's request that we give an update on safety and kind of keep bringing that into the fold. So we will have it tonight, but this won't be the last one. The intention is to have this be a standing item monthly so that we can give updates, because we're about to embark on some projects that are very much related to safety and the bond, and kind of you threaded right back into it as a perfect segue with your question. So yeah, we will, as bond projects are starting up, and as we're scheduling them and planning them, I'm going to have a conversation about that. But we will provide monthly updates on what has happened since the last meeting, and what might be on the immediate horizon related to the bond and safety and accessibility. Okay, so that's just broadly and generally why we're having this as a conversation, and again, how it's going to keep on cycling back. I did want to just broadly, address that we do have comprehensive safety plans at all schools, at all sites, as we know. And our sites have, at all sites, we have had the cardiac training go through this year as part of Project Adam, which is just an awesome safety development for our community, both in school and out. And we also have the AED machines that have been installed across our campuses, so that anybody on any of our campuses is within a couple minutes of an AED machine that could be a life-saving safety device. So that is great improvement for this year. I do want to give a general update before we talk about a little bit of the, some of the facility architect and bond stuff. Broadly, or specifically to the flooding incident that caused damage to 4 of our sites in January. Just a brief update on that. Kimball and Rancho should be fully operational again within a couple weeks. It took a while for the wall boards to come in, but they're here. And for them, they have everything they need to. Now the rebuilding and installation is underway, and it should be within, it takes a little bit of time to put, to get the backer boards in and all that stuff. It takes a little bit of work to do that, but it should be ready to go within a couple weeks. But unfortunately for Lincoln Acres and Palmer Way, I got an update today that we are still waiting on flooring. It's a supply issue. We can't get a matching flooring for what we have. And we can't tear out all the flooring if part of it was impacted, because we are going through Cal OES to get reimbursed on the projects. So, if it looks like an improvement project, then all of a sudden it's not going to qualify for reimbursements. You're supposed to be replacing like for like. So that's why we have to wait for the flooring product that is appropriate for the Cal OES process. And it is taking longer than we'd like, and we do expect that work won't get completed until this summer. And again, that's a new update for me today. So we're expecting that work to get completed this summer, though, and to have the supply we need and to open fully operational at Lincoln Acres and Palmer Way starting in July. Last but not least, for this week's conversation, I want to put out there that we are about to go through facility upgrades related to our bond projects. We've been studying, we've been working with our architects, a lot since the year I've been here. And apparently, as you can see from the audit report in years prior too, but we're working with the architects on some of the major projects for facility upgrades are roofs, playgrounds, and accessibility. That's some of the targets that we're trying to hit. And I want to point out that, again, Dr. Brady said that the architect and our ISOM bond agent will be coming out to discuss with the board the projects and the bond. And one of the things that we're going to have to decide upon is how much of the bond we might want to go out and try to sell. The conversation around that is important because you heard our auditor say that we have $18 million still to work with for future bond projects on roofing, accessibility, and safety. And we have probably more than $18 worth of projects that we've identified with our architect. He will present, the team will present next week. So the question becomes, do we feel comfortable selling all of the bond series, or do we want to go out for a partial sale? The reason that becomes important is because there's a 3-year timeline once we start selling bonds. So it's a matter of knowing that we have more projects in the queue than dollars to pay for them if we're comfortable going out, and knowing that we would have a 3-year timeline. But that's a lot of projects when you're talking about changing roofing and some of the main projects we're discussing, and you'll hear about more in detail from our architects, involve path of travel. So really tearing up blacktop and resurfacing areas and changing the pitch. And so it's a significant amount of work that's going to happen once we start doing that. And it might not, for many, it'll just be it might look like just a replacement of what was there, but it might have a slightly different slope, but now it's compliant with the regulations. The reason that's important is the projects, like for example, accessibility. We're trying to do playgrounds across our district that have accessibility features on them, so all kids have that opportunity to get into the play structures, and so forth. I know one of the schools that's waiting on that is Kimball. They've been waiting. Their play structure has been down this year, and we've tried to buy replacement parts and have not been able to secure the replacement parts that are the exact manufacturer replacement part. So we're trying to replace that whole structure with one that is, accessible for students with disabilities. Well, that involves you can't just put the structure in and it's good to go. You have to, again, look at the path of travel to get there from every single classroom every single room on the campus has to be able to access that play structure according to current code and requirements for students with disabilities. So to make that what seems like a simple play structure change, you have to go through an entire architectural study on that. And then also, one of the things that we did, because Kimball has wood chips, lots of wood chips, that we realized were part of the issue during the floods. We had wood chips all over the place. We looked at pour and play, for example, and that took a couple months of research to learn more about those soft surfaces. But now we're hearing that the research was worthwhile because we were ready to go for that. But then now we've come to find that they can be mold causing, and that in that location, that might not be the best solution. And perhaps wood chips, a natural occurring, softener, might be better than, say, rubber that's going to get spread all over in the event of a flood or something like that. So it's an ongoing analysis and conversation around that. But even if we had finished that piece, we wouldn't be able to just go in and change the play structure at this time, because we have to get the Division of State Architecture involved after we have our architects identify the path of travel. That can take several months of review. Then we can have several months of time waiting for the bid process to occur. So these things, they just take quite a bit of time, which again is something to consider next week. We don't want to have this conversation in front of our guests, the architects, and our audit team, bond advisors. But that is something that we should be thinking about in the next couple of weeks. Is it a viable option to go out and to sell it all? And knowing that things have timelines, do we have the confidence that we can get them done in the 3 years that we would have? There's two reasons to think about that. Two last things I want to say before opening up to any other questions or comments you guys have. One impact could be because these bond projects, we're talking about roofing and path of travel, it's going to be disruptive. So it may require, we're going to be working with our architects in the next couple of weeks on a schedule. It may require a delayed start of school for some sites in recognition of that time that we can't be ripping up blacktop when students are trying to study. It's too loud, it's too disruptive. So, and getting all one school done at the same time, we can get multiple schools done and we can have multiple sites happening with one contract, but it still takes time. So we might have to delay the start of school. So that is going to be one thing to consider. Yeah, I know there's one more. Now I'm forgetting what it was. I lost it. I'll think about it, but while I open it up to you for any questions you might have.
Questions?
I do.
Trustee Lizarraga?
Yeah, thank you. When you speak about safety, not only infrastructural, physical infrastructure, but it's also about softwares and all that stuff. So, is that part of the bond to have some cybersecurity funding, allocate money, or not? Or is just the infrastructure physical?
Cybersecurity?
Yeah.
Cybersecurity money? I mean, I would.
So how we gonna find?
I can analyze the exact language in the bond for that. It seems to me like it would be compliant if it was hardware. We can't pay for specifically administrators, personnel through the bond. That's not the intention of it. But cybersecurity support infrastructure and systems might be something that applies to safety. I mean, it very much could. So I'd have to dig in on that, research that a little bit, and come back to you the next time this is on the agenda.
Yeah, because I bought a Ring camera on my home, and it's trending and it's beautiful, and I don't know, it's just a way of monitor. I know how surveillance cameras are very costly for the district, for specifically for 10 multiplied. So it'll be way to prioritize, how safety is being targeted as a priority, and safety can be anything right at the moment, and we will try to create a sense of belonging and safety for the kids and the families to drop their kids and trust it to the teachers and the schools. So I don't know if that prioritization for how this school is going to be entirely and it's done, and then we move to another school, and because as Dr. B said, how about my school? How's it going to be prioritized, and how we're going to pass all those monies allocations for, considering that every school is a base necessity. By the time a 3-year pass, some wear and tear will happen to the other infrastructure we put on the first place. Right. So in the sub-circle again, so how are we going to tackle? We have that capacity to cover with that bond money. That's just my thought.
Yeah, and those are great thoughts, and we do have additional funds available. I mean, of course, the general fund is available, but another source of funding that can co-fund some of the projects that we need done is when developer fees, people make go into development or make changes, even large-scale changes to existing homes and things like that. It's required that the state of California passed law 10 years ago-ish that we collect developer fees from those people making those improvements to account for the educational impact that could happen to the LEAs. And so we do have money available to us in that fund as well to help with reconstruction of areas that are related to accessibility. That is definitely a priority for that funding, is making sure the accessibility is a reconstruction project, because that's a compliant way to spend that highly restricted funding source.
Yeah, thank you. And on a second thought, it would be, I haven't thought about how we gonna
contact and be connected with the city, because, you know, we have neighborhood schools, and the city also, the city manager, the engineers are also, how they're gonna play part of this new way to put the safety neighborhood, because, you know, they walk from into school.
Yes.
And how we're gonna keep them on the loop as well, and regards how they can support us and how we can support them to make better decision-making, prioritization for projects and safety in general.
And we are in communication with the police department and fire department, specifically around paths of travel to school and safety. We understand that there is a returning employee in that department that we will be working with, that we've been referred to look at reopening the safe paths to, or a current day alternative, if that's not the exact language of what it's called these days, but getting that focus with the city and that collaborative effort so that we can ensure students that it's not just about safety on campus. Of course, bond dollars can't be spent on city streets or things like that. That is the city's domain. But we are working in alignment with them and in conjunction with the projects that we're doing.
And just to, as a last thought, and I know one school might require as an easy fix but some of the ones are more intense and more in-depth prioritization and how we're gonna be able to see those changes. And I'll ask the general audience to be patient, and if you have any doubts, to contact who and what, or to who to talk to.
It's me. I'd love to
All right.
work with any member of the community that wants to understand it better. I'll probably talk to them too long.
Okay.
Try to make it too clear.
Thank you.
I am going to mention the can of worms that you just opened,
Yeah.
because you said delayed start of school. And so, if you're saying delayed start of school, could we please have clarification on that, so we don't have teachers and staff and parents and students running around going, we aren't starting school until you.
Thank you. This
Clarify what you mean, and if you are even talking about reality, a school year,
contracts,
please.
Okay, so we did delay the start of the school year at some sites, I believe 2 years ago in National, was it? Oh, longer than that. Oh, closer to 8 years ago. Yeah, it goes fast, doesn't it? So when we were in a spending mode on the prior bond, and there was there's bond measure N involved a lot of spending and repairs and work, so we did delay the start of school. And I want to be very, very clear that I am not talking about July 2024. If there was any delay, there would be lots of communication and decision making, and it would come from this team, and it would be for the 24-25 year, and it would only, 25-26. Excuse me, 25-26 year, and only if we felt that we could do the projects. I remember the other item now. Thank you. The other reason that is important to consider, whether to go out all at once or in a couple times, is because there are expenses to going out. Like when you sell a bond series, there's one-time costs that happen. So by doing it twice, you're increasing the amount of costs that you pay to sell the bonds. I can ask John Isom for an estimate of what that looks like, to be prepared for that for the next meeting when he comes and presents. But just know that there is additional cost to selling more frequently. But you do need to spend what you sell. It's my understanding that if you do not, that there is flexibility there, that if you don't meet that 3-year period, that there's appeal processes in place and the opportunity to extend that by another year. But again, I'll let John speak to that. That's much more in his department than mine.
And I have one other thought with regard to that. Last time that Mr. Avanesian talked about the previous bond, I still remember asking what in the world happened to everything cost 60% more. And so we were able to do a whole lot less.
Yeah.
That's real life, and it's been worse post-COVID with the expense of items and supply flow. So I guess my question that I'm not looking for an answer for tonight, but what are the ramifications of delay? What have we been seeing as a like longitudinal trend in increase in costs that would impact pushing us to 3-year in completion or stretching it out?
Okay.
Because I don't want to promise something we can't do, but I also don't want to turn around and end up having a projected projects that we just simply can't even talk about because costs went up so much over the time we extended things.
I will share that with Mr. Isom, so he's prepared for that, and do some of my own research as well. And I appreciate that question because I feel the same.
All right, thank you, Dr. Burton.
Thank you.
Item 13E is to authorize the Assistant Superintendent of Business Services to advertise for artificial turf installation. Do I have a motion?
Motion to approve? I'm sorry, authorization of that. Installation, 13A.
A question. Where was the turf going to be put at?
Pardon?
Where was the turf going to be put?
You need a second before you can have discussion.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Do you want
Want
a
to
second or
second
you
that
don't?
motion?
Would anyone like to second?
Okay, I'll second and then I'll ask the question.
Thank you.
There you go.
Ahead of myself. Where was the turf going to be put?
So we're advertising for, we'd like to advertise with approval to go out for Lincoln Acres, Las Palmas, Kimball, Central, and Olivewood at this time.
And do we know how much all this is gonna cost?
We have estimates on what that might cost based on last year's projects and with some estimates of, increased cost factors. We are putting it between $7 and $8 million to do, I know. But then it's, the funding source that we are looking at using would be a combination of ELOP dollars, which that's the extended learning opportunity dollars, and combining those because you have to co-fund it with additional general fund dollars, and we're going to be looking at using the developer fees to co-fund with the ELOP projects so that it's coming from sources that could not be spent on salaries, could not be spent on curriculum, could not be spent on anything but projects such as these. So we feel that for the students of National City, where we do have a parkland, grassland, desert here, that these are good expenditures for our children to get out and play.
And how much of it would come out of the general fund?
None from the general fund, but from the developer fee, we're looking at about 30%, because the feeling is that the ELOP hours they're on it the whole time that ELOP's open, whereas the school day is open, they're generally not on it except for some recess time, some PE time, and so forth. So we're looking at a 70-30 split right now and assessing that. And it does not touch the bond either, so that's good news on that one. That preserves the bond for some of the more safety and accessibility related items, like the accessible playground that'll be right next to that field, or the safety items that will be in place.
Now, I heard someone say once that they had put in artificial turf and they said they had millions of ants underneath it. What are we gonna do about that?
We have not had that problem. Because we're filling with, we put like a sports pad underneath to make sure that it's a good soft surface. And that may be something that's serving as a penetration layer for ants. And then we use sand infill on top of that. So there's a sports pad layer, then the turf, and then sand infill. And we are not finding ant problems associated with it. We also did research internally and with our Rades partners here in the district to check on injuries to see if we had any increase in injuries, be they soft tissue, leg, or concussive injuries at the fields. And we have not had any increase in injuries at the sites that have the turf put in. So that gave us additional confidence going forward that it was the right move for our kids.
I feel much better about that one.
And then, sorry, and if I could add, there's also a coating to the sand that reduces the temperature. So in the old types of turf, there was a heat component where they would heat up and be very hot and kids would get burned, or people would get burned. But this has a special coating to the sand to reduce the temperature of the turf as well. So really some great advancements in turf.
Science is cool.
Yeah.
Trustee Lasada.
Thank you. Yeah, just to add in a comment in regards and feedback on Trustee Sarmiento regarding about remediation issues for the ground. And I don't know if that's what and there's 5 schools, and that's what the price might seem high, but split up in 5 schools will be, allocating the money to that. And just a clarification for if this, adopting this, accepting this article is just for the bidding for $1,500, right? It's just for authorizing the bidding process, so we'll be looking forward to have those projects done. So just to
Yeah, so this is just to approve the advertisement for us to be able to do the turf installations, yes.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
No.
Then I have a motion to authorize by Trustee Lasada and a second by Trustee Avalos. Please vote.
Ms. Sarmiento?
Yes.
Ms. Avalos?
Yes.
Ms. Lizarraga?
Yes.
Ms. Key?
Yes.
And it passes unanimously.
Item 13F to accept donations. Dr. Burt?
Thank you very much. Yes, this week we are identifying $600 from Palmer Way Teachers, the PTA, the Parent Teacher Association, for school transportation, for transportation to field trips, etc. Because even though we have our own internal busing, there are costs that come with field trips. And then West Coast Truck Service is a local community partner with an interest in youth education, and they're donating $500 to Kimball for attendance incentives.
Do I have a motion to accept donations?
I make a motion to accept.
Second.
All right, any more input or questions?
No, big thank you to the donors.
All right, so I have a motion by Trustee Avalos and a second by Trustee Sarmiento. Please vote.
Ms. Sarmiento?
Yes.
Ms. Avalos?
Yes.
Ms. Lizarraga?
Yes.
Ms. Key?
Yes.
And it passes unanimously.
Okay, item 14, Board Cabinet Communications. Trustee Sarmiento?
I have nothing.
Trustee Avalos?
I have a whole audience here. I want to thank everybody that came today and all our speakers and the children that played their instruments. You could tell that they were just learning, but I thought they did a great job. And I'm very proud of them, of what they're doing. And thank you all for coming, and thank you.
Trustee Lasada?
Just to comment, there's a listening audience that is there watching us. Check on that. We're doing a great job in here. And I'm very proud and a strong believer about the leadership that we provide to this community. So I would like to express my deepest sympathy for the Stewart family and regards to the Lizarraga family and your honor prayers. So I would like to congratulate Ms. Norma Hernandez. As usual, it's a pleasure to see people who's being honored for volunteerism, and would be nice enough to congratulate Blanca Carson. And I see her in action. It's very emotional to see how she encouraged people, and she aligns with the added value member of our community. So it's very, very, and you see the support of her coworker, that they work every single day and they play along the role that they do at Higher Harbison. And I'm very proud of her. So, and I would like to extend probably an invitation to Dr. Beatty to encourage, I don't know, which is an idea I was thinking when we were bonding about taking kids' input about what they want to see. But it might be a lot to ask. Maybe put the student right table from the future, what do you want to see? What is your thoughts about? Because they see the school, they suffer when they fall. How are we going to collect them? But maybe they can teach a leadership now. Bonding will be a leadership opportunity for that. Maybe for the future, not now. You have a lot on your plate already for the students and with all this Puerto Rico trip and activities. So maybe for the future, we can consider their input on bonding monies and processes. So that's just a thought. So thank you so much. And a great night, and I wish everybody good luck on the K run. I'm not gonna be in town because I'm graduating on engineering on naval services, so I'm gonna be out of town, and I'm very excited to see. Hopefully, I can be in my heart. Please send me a shirt because I want to be part of it. I'm gonna join you in spirit. Good luck to them, and hopefully, all the communities turn around tables for that specific event. So I wish very good luck to that person. Congratulations, NSD family, for participating. So for that being said, thank you. Have a good night.
Dr. Burke?
Yes, first and foremost, I'd like to thank you for two critical votes tonight. The impact of the fields and the environmental resolution are just awesome and could have tremendous impact for kids for decades. So I thank you for that. The other one is I would like to thank the Keyless Entry Task Force. They're asking the tough questions. They're doing a great job at helping us vet the process. We're working on building an FAQ, a frequently asked questions document, to provide responses that everyone can have based on the questions that the Keyless Entry Task Force is putting together. So I thank them for their work, and we're looking forward to moving forward on that one as well.
I'm sorry. I was sitting here, you were moving, and I just didn't even think to invite you.
I want to welcome Courtney Quinn to the NSD family. I also want to congratulate the Student Roundtable students and the John Otis students for their presentation. I want to thank Norma Hernandez and Blanca Carson for everything that they do for their schools and their students and community and family. And then I'm also looking forward to celebrating our certificated classified and management employees in May. I want to thank all of our employees for serving their students and families in the National City community. Thank you.
Dr. Kraft?
Yes, I'd like to send congratulations to the volunteer and the employees of the month. They definitely won this room with their profession. Thank all the student presentations. It was music to my ears. And I wanted to share with the board, if you haven't seen, that the Animation Festival is at the UCSD Market, Park and Market. It's from 9 to 3. We're inviting families. Our 6th graders are presenting their SDGs, I call them Sustainable Development Goal animations, which are serving as public announcements. And so service announcements, PSAs. And I think it is bound to be a beautiful event. You came last year, Ms. Sarmiento.
It's beautiful.
Yeah, it's this Saturday. Yeah, and it's this Saturday, and it's gonna. It was very exciting. The kids are excited, and it's a gala, and would love to have you join us and the families. And then last, I would like to wish a happy birthday. Belated happy birthday to Dr. Kevin. It was yesterday, and she shares it with my baby girl.
Happy birthday. Dr. Brady?
Yes, 'tis the season of celebrations, so happy birthday. I did want to say congratulations to Linda Vasquez, who was selected for Leadership in Biliteracy Award, and that will be on April 25th, next week. And James Vieira from John Otis, who will be getting the CAC Award for Special Education. So congratulations to both of those. Also next week on Wednesday, it's Admin Professionals Day. So an early happy Admin Professionals Day to Jocelyn and Vanessa and to all of our admins. From Executive Cabinet and throughout our schools. I'll be putting all these dates in the memo, so you'll have them. But please, most of them, it's good if you RSVP, if we need a ticket. But most of them are open since they're celebrations to all board members. I did have a request from staff if instead of an item and presentation, on technology and educational services, like thoughts about restructuring, if we could schedule a board workshop. And that way we could have free-flowing conversation. Conversations back and forth, rather than a one-way presentation. But that would require a special board meeting. Oh, always. Okay, then I'll work with the board president to put something together, work with staff on a date for that. It just probably would be easier. Okay, and then I'll just end with a thank you to Mary Doyle for bringing the proclamation to us and to our roundtable students for taking the lead, and to the board for your unanimous vote. I think that was wonderful. And thank you for your words for Mary Stewart. And I hope y'all can come out to the 5K just to hear some words. I know her husband will be there, and hopefully her daughter can make it as well.
Well, community, we're there. Thank you to our new principal coming in for Ms. Quinn. We're looking forward to having you here and getting to know how you fit into this larger family that we have. Trustee Betcourt Castaneda and I will be presenting on our trip to Washington, D.C. that took place last week. It was the California School Board Association Legislative Action Coast to Coast event. So we will be sharing about that, but it was a good trip and it was heartening to, I mean, you always hope that when you're part of something that they're doing good things and that they're advocating for good things. But the things that have risen to the top for California School Board Association to advocate for straight up include our special education students from the littlest ones, the 0 to 5-year-olds on up through as they continue to grow and learn, to teacher retention concerns, including the lack of Social Security for teachers who work second jobs or who had a previous life before or after being teachers. There were just many different topics that were important to bring, and so I'm eager to share those with you. Thank you to the roundtable and to Mary Doyle for advocating so clearly for the right to a good beach and water and care for and stewardship for the things that we have. It was an honor to have the kids present that to us and ask us to support them in that proclamation today. I want to point out, because I missed this one and I could get in so much trouble. Last week was my baby's 20th birthday. Michaela is now 20. I have no children anymore. I have all, well, it's nice because the state says they're adults, right? So that can be great. But happy birthday to Michaela, a week late. Dr. Kempen. Well, the thing is, I've said that before. I don't know why the kids celebrate because what did they do that? No, I'm kidding. Never mind. I'm not going to get on that soapbox. But again, thank you to everyone who's present tonight. And again, I also want to just share to the families of Robert Casillas, Victor Arellano Bacayo, and Mary Stewart. We honor your families' lives, and we want to honor their memories. So to everyone here, drive safely and be wise on the roads. We are going to defer our remaining closed session item to our next meeting, if that is okay with the board. It's been a full night. And with that, I'd like to close this meeting. Thank you.